3 points, 2 drivers, 1 race. It's a pleasure to welcome you to the final race of this 2011 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series season. ESPN proudly represents Championship Sunday, the Ford 400 at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Let's get it started.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your hats as the Homestead Air Reserve Base 482nd Fighter Wing Color Guard present our nation's colors. Remain standing as Pastor Scott Clonch of Calvary Chapel Kendall offers today's invocation.
Let's pray. Father, we thank you that you have created us for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And we are happy to be here in Homestead to watch these racers chase the championship. And God, we pray thanking you for the liberty you have given us. And we know that we live in the land of the free because of the brave men and women who serve and sacrifice around the world. And so God, we thank you for life and for the fact that you so loved the world that you gave your only Son, that whoever believes in him would not perish but have eternal life. And we pray in Jesus' name, amen.
To honor America and our troops, place your right hand over your heart as American Idol finalist and Interscope recording artist Pia Toscano performs our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare diamonds bursting in air, yet it proved through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave over the land of the free and the home of the
When we come back, the final 400 miles of this season and the only 400 that count for Tony Stewart and Carl Edwards. Who is it gonna be? We'll find out next. Join Goodyear and NASCAR in saluting America's armed forces and give back by helping support our troops. Visit Goodyear.com/support our troops to learn more. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. And for you race fans, check out NASCAR.com/race buddy to watch live coverage from Homestead-Miami Speedway. Follow your favorite drivers for free with 8 live camera views. Homestead-Miami Speedway calls itself the championship track, and already this weekend, 2 titles have been handed out, one to Austin Dillon in the Truck Series, and one to Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in the Nationwide Series. Today, Alan Bastrick and the Dubais, we will hand out title number 3.
And we can't wait to see how this all turns out. Nicole, thank you. With champions Dale Jarrett and Andy Petrie, this championship will be decided among 2 drivers within the context of the broader race. There's 41 other guys going to be out there and all have their own agendas.
Yeah, it's what makes our sport so unique, that there are other drivers here that want to go to victory lane. They know what's happening with the championship. But someone like Casey Kane, who just won last week, half of his wins, of his 12 wins, have come on mile-and-a-half tracks. Not yet here at Homestead. He could do that today. You have another driver like Greg Biffle, who has won here 3 times. He could be a factor in this race. They're mindful of what's happening with Carl Edwards and Tony Stewart, but they have agendas much like other drivers that haven't won this year that want to go to victory lane.
Yeah, and with all this going on around these 2 drivers that are going head-to-head for this championship, they can't do it just by themselves. Those other guys are going to be out there. They have to race around, and there's trouble out there to be found. We saw Denny Hamlin come in here last year as the point leader, ran into trouble early, racing other cars, letting him race in Jimmy Johnson, gets in trouble, and this really hurt his chances of winning that championship last year, and Jimmy Johnson actually winning.
Hamlin was the championship leader entering the final race until that happened to him early in the going. Also unique to NASCAR, every playing field, if you will, every racetrack is unique in its own way. And we've seen over the years that this Homestead-Miami Speedway is a place where we could see some great racing.
This is probably the raciest racetrack we go to. It's got, I mean, you can go all the way up to within inches of the wall. They're going to be flying up there. You're going to see cars running down on the line and below. It's good. It's one of the best tracks for actual on-track performance and competition I've ever seen.
Yeah, the progressive banking is great. We're going to see these race cars 2, 3, and sometimes 4 wide today. And I'm going to use a word that we've heard Jimmy Johnson use. You're going to have to be committed to go around this racetrack the fastest way. That's right up next to the wall. And for these championship contenders, that could mean disaster if they drive it in a little too hard or just slip one time.
Just some of the action from last night's NASCAR Nationwide Series finale here, where the guys were racing for the win right down to the final corners of the race. We can hope in this championship that we see Tony Stewart and Carl Edwards have a clean race and race to win the championship right through the final corner of the race.
Yeah, that's exactly what you want to happen. You know, will all of that take place? That all remains to be seen. But these drivers have worked hard through 9 races, scoring the same number of points through these 9 races. Carl Edwards 3 points ahead, but they've got themselves in a position to make it all happen.
I think these 2 drivers are going to duke it out for the win. It's going to be these 2 that you have to beat to win this race today, because Tony Stewart knows for him to win this championship, he has to win the race. That's what's in his mind, and I think if anybody else wins it today, they're going to have to beat those 2.
Pressure on the pit crews, pressure on the crew chiefs today. You talked the other day here as we were discussing this race about almost feeling sick on the pit box at a race where you were trying to win a championship.
Yeah, you try to act like it doesn't matter, but it does. You know this is a big day, and you try to treat it like any other race, but it is not any other race. This is a big, big day for both of these teams.
Yeah, I think that's what's great about being the driver, is because even though you're going to be nervous, you're going to have to go work, and so you're doing something all the time. So these drivers are looking forward to getting in the car and putting all of the other things behind them.
Anytime it's a big sporting event, it attracts celebrities of all kinds. Formula One star Jenson Button is here. NBA's Dwight Howard is here, among others. And a couple of other special dignitaries today. The First Lady, Michelle Obama, and Dr. Jill Biden, the Second Lady, here to show support to a group that supports our military, not just the NASCAR community, but a broader story. And they're also here to give the command to get the season finale underway and get this great race that shapes up to conclude a great championship fight going here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. And we can see how it all turns out. Dr. Jill Biden on the right, First Lady Michelle Obama on the left, and a huge crowd gathered here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. They've been talking about it since last Sunday about this time. Now it's time to finally get this championship-deciding race going.
Race fans, joining us today is Sergeant Andrew Berry, who bravely served our nation as a sniper with the U.S. Army in Iraq and Afghanistan. Sergeant Berry heroically survived 2 bullets and 8 bomb blasts while deployed and returned to the U.S. to his wife and 4 sons. Since retiring in 2009, Sergeant Berry has found renewed purpose by serving at the Orlando Vet Center, where he is committed to supporting his fellow veterans. At this time, we now ask that all servicemen and women, veterans and military families stand to be recognized for your service to this country. And now, please welcome our Grand Marshals, Sergeant Andrew Berry and family, First Lady of the United States, Michelle Obama, and Dr. Jill Biden, as they deliver the most famous words in motorsports.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Copy, crank it up. Still running there. 10-4, running here. You want, I'm going to go ahead and run these beeps.
And there's the scene on the pit lane at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Finally time to get down to work for these drivers and these teams, and time to determine, after 10 months of racing, who the 2011 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series champion will be. Starting lineup coming across the top of your screen, headed by championship leader Carl Edwards. His third pole 2011, wins the award for most poles this season. Going to be a little while before you get back to his rival for the title, Tony Stewart. Stewart is back in the 8th row. Our ESPN in-race reporter allows us to talk to drivers in the heat of competition today. Both of the two championship contenders have agreed to talk with us in race. Carl Edwards on the right, Tony Stewart on the left. Let's start with Smoke.
Tony Stewart, Dale Jarrett, ESPN. You have a copy? Hey, Tony, thanks for taking the time to talk with us today. Our first question comes from Mailbag. Rick in Fort Myers, Florida asks, you feel that your 4 wins in the chase and recent hot streak is more important today than what Carl has done here over the last few years?
I definitely think so. I mean, you know in our sport how much technology changes so fast. It's what you run a year ago is no guarantee that that's going to work this time around. So, you know, we had a really good practice yesterday, and appreciative that NASCAR was able to fit us in the schedule with the rain that we had, how they got back in the corner on the rain Thursday or Friday. So I think what we got here is a pretty good race car today. We're real appreciative to Office Depot and Mobile One and Chevy and everybody that's done a good job making this happen for us.
Tony, I've watched you a lot this week. You seem very relaxed and ready for this championship. Have your 2 previous championships kind of helped you get through this week a little better?
Oh yeah, there's no doubt, man. This isn't our first day at the rodeo here, so we're ready to go. And you know, he's still trying to get that first, and we're trying to get the 3rd one. So we've been here. We know the stresses and strains of it, and as you can see by all these guys walking down through here, we got a lot of support today.
Well, you do that. Tony, again, thanks for taking the time to talk with us on a very important day. You have a great day, and we'll talk with you later on. Now, Andy's going to talk to your crew chief, Darian Grubb.
All right, man, enjoy the ride with us.
Hey, Darian Grubb, Andy Petrie in the booth. Do you have us?
You're loud and clear.
Hey, Darian, I know that you like to treat this just like any other race, but it's not. It's a big one. And I know you just probably talked to your crew. What kind of instructions did you give them for this one?
We are treated just like any other race, which is a lot more at stake at the end. So we're going to go out there and do what we do best. Obviously, the Mobile One team's going to take this car to the front, win this race. It doesn't matter what anybody else does. Have a little fun today.
You guys look like you got a lot of confidence, Darian, and good luck today. Thanks for talking to us.
Thanks for having us.
Tony Stewart, Darian Grubb, and their team going to look to see if they can overcome Carl Edwards and his team for the championship. Carl's our other race reporter today, Dale.
Carl Edwards, Dale Jarrett. You have a copy?
Gotcha, Dale.
All right, Carl, thanks for taking the time to talk with us today. And our first question comes from our mailbag, and Ronnie in Vero Beach, Florida asks, regardless of the current point standings, do you feel like you have an advantage over Tony today based on your recent history at this track?
Well, I feel like we do. You know, I feel like we've got a really good advantage, a big advantage here, but, you know, anything can happen, and Tony's proven that he's been really, really good the last few weeks. And, you know, we don't discount him. We don't underestimate him. So we got to go out here and lead the most laps to win this race and make this easy on ourselves.
Carl, I know it's been a big week. Y'all have had time to talk about all of this, but can you kind of give us your emotions right now as you prepare for the biggest day of your career?
I had a good view of the big screen up there, and I was watching all the past champions they were showing. I saw you up there, and it's just neat to be a part of something like this. And I'm really grateful. All the people who have helped me, all the people that are supported me back at home, everybody who let me drive the race cars, and I hope I can do well for them today and perform well for my family and everyone. So right now my emotions are, I'm really grateful, but we're about to get real competitive.
All right, well, we know you're going to do that, and let us say that we're very appreciative of you taking the time to talk with us and talking with our fans here as you get ready for this big day. Good luck today. Now Andy's going to talk to your crew chief, Bob Osborne.
Thanks a lot, guys. I hope the show goes well.
Hey, Bob Osborne, Andy Petrie in the booth. You have us?
Sir, Andy, how you doing?
Oh, pretty good, Bob. I want to ask you about your strategy today. Are you going to just put on blinders and do your own strategy, or will you key some of that off of what that 14 team does today?
Well, for the most part, we're going to run our race. You know, we have to keep to what's got us this far in the season and do our best here, but definitely going to keep an eye on the 14 and see how things go there.
Okay, you're getting down to business. Good luck today, and thanks for talking to us, Bob.
Thank you, Andy. Anytime, buddy.
Top 2 in the championship. We'll check in with them through the day. Our in-race reporters. This week's Gillette Pro Glide Profile focuses on drivers who've won the last race of the season while winning the championship. Some of the great names in NASCAR history, including a Jarrett and a Petty in there, by the way. Last time it happened was 1998. Skeptic or believer? I know your answer already. You said Tony Stewart's going to win the race and win the championship. Skeptic or believer? Carl or Tony's going to win this race and win the title in the process?
I think you're going to see one of these guys win today. I think Tony Stewart is pretty determined on doing that, too.
400 miles ahead to find out. Our 8 high-definition onboard cameras today carried by the top 8 in the championship, accounting for the last 9 NASCAR Sprint Cup titles, and include, as you've already seen, Tony Stewart and Carl Edwards, the two who will decide this year's title between them.
Pretty good group we've got cameras to ride along with here today.
Roster you'd take on about any Sunday, wouldn't it? The parade and pace laps have just begun. A quick break and back for the start of the season-ending Ford 400 in a minute. Beautiful day in South Florida at the Homestead-Miami Speedway, where the Ford 400 is about to get underway to determine who will be the NASCAR Sprint Cup champion for this season. Let's talk about the 2 championship contenders one final time before the green flag waves. To pit road and Vince Welch.
Alan, before this chase began, Tony Stewart said his team was not championship caliber. Well, you look back on it now, and it seems like one of the all-time great motivational tactics. But crew chief Darian Grubb says this is still the same team that it was before. They've not worked any harder, dug any deeper. The only thing that's changed has been their luck. So now here they are on the verge of defying the odds and winning the title. And Stewart says, I can finish 43rd today and still end up second in points. I have nothing to lose, and I will lay it all on the line to win. Jamie Little?
The championship for Carl Edwards and the 99 team can be won or lost right here on pit road. 18 members of his team are right here. They are fired up, yet focused on the task at hand. Every one of them, from the car chief to the tire changer, will have a hand in today's outcome. They qualified on pole, they have the #1 pit box, and the crew chief told me that is the perfect scenario. Alan Bestwick?
Jamie, thanks. Eyes and ears everywhere on this Ford 400 today, including listening to Tony Stewart's radio.
Well, boys, I don't think any of us thought we were going to be in this spot, but here's the thing. I want to get Dee his first. I want to get Gene his first. I want to get you guys your first. And call me a little bit greedy, but hell with it. I want 3 of them. Let's just go do what we've been doing all year. This ain't no different than the first 9 that we did to get us here. Just knock it off all day long. We'll get it down out here for you.
Gotta love that.
Gotta love it. He's a confident man.
Tony Stewart sitting 15th on the starting grid. His rival for the title, Carl Edwards, is on pole position. 43 drivers in this field to race 400 miles, 267 laps around this 1.5-mile track. For 41 of them, nothing at stake today but going to victory lane and the race win. For 2, a head-to-head fight in the final race of the season for the championship. The Ford 400 is underway. Turn 1 on the first lap. Edwards leads lap 1. That's 1 bonus point toward the championship. NASCAR awarding 1 point for any driver that leads a lap and 1 point to the driver that leads the most laps on the lane.
Martin Truex didn't make it easy on him, though, in getting that first lap led. He was hung with him right through turns 3 and 4.
Side by side for third. Matt Kenseth in the 17. Kurt Busch in the 22. That's Jeff Gordon in the 24 going for a slide.
It's not taking long. The cool thing about this track, it doesn't have a lot of grip, so you're going to see a lot of sliding around, even right off the bat with good tires. You can see right there, Jeff Gordon kind of doing a slide job through there.
Brad Keselowski in the 2, working on Jeff for 5th position.
See Dale Earnhardt Jr. in that mix. He was extremely fast.
22 car smoking and slow off the pace. That was from third place.
Guys, get ready. We got to go to the garage. Transmission's out of the car. Get it back there, guys.
Wow.
Yeah, he's in a real vulnerable spot right there with all the cars coming. Sound like it was a transmission, possibly.
Just hope that there's no fluids coming out of that. He had to ride around right up in the groove in 3 and 4.
NASCAR has spotters stationed all around the racetrack, no doubt looking and checking.
There's a drive shaft broke, but there's nothing with the gearbox.
That's Kurt as he turns back into the garage.
Yeah, the transmission holds about 2 quarts of fluid, so that's supposed to say could be fluid on the track. We don't see a caution, though.
So there's the lead, Carl Edwards. Single file back through, Casey Kane in the Ford. You want to hear a couple people pick him to win this race just a little bit ago?
Wouldn't surprise any of us that he were able to do that. He's been extremely fast throughout this race.
Yeah, he was just doing hospitality up here by our booth, and I talked to him just before the race. He said he had a really good car and he had a chance of making it 2 in a row.
I was pointing out that 88 car, Dale Earnhardt Jr., extremely fast yesterday in practice. He was very happy with this race car on the march early.
And Junior showing that he liked that high line around this racetrack. Not familiar with Homestead-Miami Speedway or forgotten since last year. Progressive banking. More banking in the high lane than there is in the middle lane than there is in the low lane. And Junior was all the way up by the wall in practice.
See Tony Stewart just now coming into the picture behind Greg Biffle.
Stewart's up to 10th spot now. Remember, he started 15th.
Listen, Tony and them, they were extremely happy as their car in practice got more laps on the tires. They felt like that their car was as good as anybody here after about 15 laps.
How about going 3 wide in turn 1 on lap 1 of a race you got a championship at stake?
He said he wasn't going to hold back any, and he proved that right from the drop of the green flag.
One of the great stories of the season on the move in that 2 car, Brad Keselowski. Came out of nowhere to put himself in championship contention over the fall.
He's trying to take that spot away from Matt Kenseth, who probably has run as well as anybody at every chase race. Certainly doesn't have the finishes to show it, though.
I talked to Matt's crew chief, Jimmy Fennig, this morning down in the garage. He said they changed about everything you could change on that race car. They were not happy with it after the final practices earlier in the week. Now, there is a chance of an isolated shower in the forecast for today. 20%, but on the radar, there are a couple out there. And the Speedway has been peppered with rain at times throughout the weekend. In fact, the roadways were wet when we got here this morning.
We are in South Florida, surrounded by water here.
Yeah. Might be raining across the street and be dry here. 39, Ryan Newman. 33, Clint Boyer for 11th and 12th spot. Newman, someone who thought he would contend for the championship when this chase started and just didn't go his way right from the start. Boyer making his last drive for the man who brought him to the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, Richard Childress. Boyer moving on to Michael Waltrip Racing after today. Moving up and moving back. Junior moving forward in that 88.
Well, it looks like that maybe Matt Kenseth is still going to have to make some adjustments with these changes they've made to this race car.
Yeah, he must have had a good qualifying lap, a good setup for a single lap. But right now, put some laps on the tires. Looks like his car's sliding around a little bit too much for him. You see Junior working that high lane. And when that high lane's working at a racetrack, nobody runs it better than Dale Earnhardt Jr.
We've seen him utilize that as well as anyone. As long as he stays calm, you can see him giving himself a little bit of room right there. It just seems that sometimes throughout the race, he may get in a little bit of trouble when he tries to get a little bit of extra, and that's mostly getting into the corner too hard.
And the danger when you slip a little bit when you're running that very high lane.
Not much room for error there.
That wall is right there. It gets you in a hurry. So early in the going, Tony Stewart has moved up to 10th position from 15th starting spot. Carl Edwards leading the race while Kurt Busch already back in the garage. It was just 3 laps into the race when this happened. Race fans, check out NASCAR.com/RaceBuddy to watch coverage live from Homestead-Miami. Follow your favorite drivers for free with 8 live camera views. That live camera view tells you why we're under caution. Rain at the Homestead-Miami Speedway. The leaders are on pit road. 14 laps into the race. Carl Edwards, the race leader, brings him down. Most everybody's in. Vince?
Tony Stewart is in. He says it's a little tight in the center on both ends, a little free on exit of 2. It's just a 2-tire change and a chassis adjustment for Stewart. Jamie?
And the same for the 99, going to be 2 tires down and away. Quick stop. You see all the raindrops there on the jib camera. Race off. Carl Edwards gets it.
Yep, we're going to see just right side tires for about all the leaders there.
Yeah, just a few laps, 14 laps. Left side's probably look good. Just get 2 tires, maintain that track position, what they're after here. See, Harvick's team did a good job of gaining him 7 spots there.
Yes, sir.
I think some of these teams might have would have looked at just fuel, but in talking to some of the drivers that were in the nationwide race yesterday, when they got just fuel and left those tires on, they had their hands full with the race car. So I think that's why they took the extra time to put the 2 tires on.
All right, so while we're under caution, you saw the First Lady, Michelle Obama, and Dr. Joe Biden earlier giving the command to start engines. They are here watching the race today, and just a little while before they performed the Grand Marshal's duties, our Dave Burns had a chance to speak with both.
First and second ladies, Michelle Obama and Dr. Jill Biden, are at their first NASCAR race this weekend. Welcome, ladies. Nice to have you here. Ms. Obama, I want to start with you. Tell us about the Joining Forces initiative that brought you here to Homestead-Miami Speedway today.
Well, Jill and I, because of our respect and love of our troops and their families, we're trying to rally the country to show support for these families who are serving right alongside of the men and women in uniform. We want to make sure that these families know that America has their back. So we've been working with the business community, with a number of sports leagues, with individuals, everyone's stepping up in ways big and small. And we're asking America to find ways to continue to show appreciation. So NASCAR has done a phenomenal job, and we're just grateful to them for all the work that they've done, not just today, but every day. So we're very excited to be here.
Very good. Dr. Biden, I know your stepson Bo was deployed a few years back to Iraq. You kind of understand what these families are going through. What message do you typically bring to them?
Well, our son Bo was deployed for a year, and you know, I just want all Americans to know what it's like for a family of a deployed service member. And so I just ask all families to commit to an act of kindness for a service member's family.
An act of kindness, how else does the average person get involved typically?
Well, you can do anything. As we say, go to your strength. I mean, I know when my son was deployed and we had a major snowstorm, that somebody in the neighborhood went and plowed their driveway. So it's just something little, something small to say, hey, we appreciate you and what you're doing.
So, Ms. Obama, this is your first NASCAR race. Do you like the sound of loud engines and you like the smell of burning rubber? What are you anticipating about NASCAR today?
It's awesome. Well, Carl just showed us his car. I mean, amazing piece of technology. It's just fascinating to learn all the ins and outs of the race. You know, how he gets water, what the seat feels like, what is drafting all about. There's a huge science behind the race, so I'm excited. I got a little tutorial, so now we're going to see whether we actually understand it. But this is exciting. I mean, it's not just the race, but it's families together. I mean, the fact that all the NASCAR drivers have their families here, kids are all over the place. I mean, that's another reason why NASCAR is such a good spokesperson for military families, because they're appreciating families and the work that they do. These drivers are putting themselves out every race, so they understand that there are risks that go along with the work that they do, and their families are right there behind them. So we're pretty fired up about seeing what this is going to look like.
It's so great that NASCAR invited thousands of military families to come here today to this big race. So this is really what Joining Forces is all about, and then communities just coming out to support our military families and then to support NASCAR.
So you both are aware that this is a very close championship. Today is the last race. Tony Stewart will win or Carl Edwards will win. Mrs. Obama, I got to ask you, Carl, you've spent some time with him today. He's on the President's Council for Fitness, Sports, and Nutrition. Tony drives a Chevrolet. So where are your loyalties going to lie today?
Oh, boy. Well, Carl is terrific. Love him. One of my favorite people. He's doing great things. I'm going to stay neutral on this one. I think I want them all to be safe. That's first and foremost. And we just expect an exciting race. So I'm staying neutral.
Right down the middle. Dr. Biden, any thought on that?
No, we agreed we're staying neutral on this because everybody's supporting military families here today, and that's what matters to us.
As will we at ESPN. We'll bring them the neutral coverage today, see who wins. Hey, thank you for being here. We're very happy to have you and honored to talk to you. Folks, if you want to learn more about joining forces, don't forget you can log on to whitehouse.gov and see how you can help and support our troops.
Dave, thanks. That earlier, and now live, Tony Stewart on pit lane early, Vince.
You see the 14 team of Tony Stewart feverishly working on the front of their car. Stewart has hit something and it has put a big hole in the front of the grill, although Tony indicated he did not recall hitting anything at all, said he didn't feel as though he had hit any debris, but there's a hole about twice the size of a man's fist there in the front. So they're replacing the fencing part of the grill, which they also have to double check and make sure there's no debris inside the grill area as well. Now you see the replacement area, the area that they're going to replace, and now the fenced grill area that's being used to substitute and replace. They've also got to make sure that they get the tape on the new grill just as the previous tape was addressed, so they make sure that aerodynamically they have the same handling car as well. So certainly an issue that Darian Grubb and company, Tony Stewart obviously included, did not expect to have to be dealing with in the early stages of this championship run.
All right, check your water pressure there, bud.
Got 10 pounds.
Okay, 10-4. We got a big hole in the center of the grill. The grill screen's all punched out of it. We got the boys to go ahead and start working everything up. We'll get it all ready there. Do not come in until we tell you we're ready to.
10-4. I have no idea what that would have been from.
I didn't see it the lap before, so I'm not sure when it happened.
Probably from that 22 car's transmission failure. When that thing exploded like that, there's a lot of parts and pieces that can come out of that thing. More than likely, that's a piece of an ear that went through that grill. And if they're lucky that they didn't get to the radiator.
I'm not going to do tires until we get one to go, so don't worry about tires. Just get your pressure set. Let's get this thing fixed. I don't want to drive over the screws.
Yeah, the fact that they do have water pressure means that it did not puncture the radiator. That's good news. They want to go ahead and take advantage of this long caution to get this thing fixed.
Yeah, and probably going to be a few laps under the caution for this little rain shower to just evaporate on the warm Florida day now that it's stopped raining.
Yeah, jet drivers out too. Yeah. And well, he's unlucky that he had it to happen, but fortunate that the rain showers came where they have time to work on this, maybe get it repaired and be as good as new.
So the 14 team providing some early intrigue in the championship. They're going to show the drivers 2 to go, see what their reaction is. We'll take a quick break in the Ford 400 and come back for the restart. Homestead-Miami Speedway, the Ford 400 wrapping up the first caution, which came out for a brief rain shower that peppered the racetrack. The leaders have all pitted. Carl Edwards has the lead as we get set for the restart. Tony Stewart has pitted twice for repairs to the nose grill of that car. He has rejoined the field. Stewart back in 40th place as we get set to go back at it.
Yeah, he would have restarted 8th by that pit stop they just made if they hadn't had the damage to fix. It would be a tough battle for him right now.
Lots of time still to make up ground, though. That's Ryan Newman, 3 deep on the bottom, turn 1.
The junior had ideas that he wanted to go to the lead, but Martin Truex came flying back by to take the second spot back there.
Edwards 99, Truex 56 for the lead. Earnhardt Jr. a little wide. He's going to get challenged there on the bottom side of the corner. 42 car, Juan Pablo Montoya speeding on pit road, had to go to the back of the field. Tony Stewart trying to pick his way through some of the traffic.
Well, what Tony needs to do right now is not be too aggressive trying to get these spots back. Long race, you don't want to do any more damage than what you've already got here. Like he is being fairly conservative.
Yeah, you just have to keep your eyes wide open right at this point as you try to work through this traffic, especially right after the restart. Cars all packed up together here. A lot of people racing hard.
First sign of some smoke in front of you is going to be a big panic button, right?
Well, he's got a good spotter in Bob Jeffries. Bob does a good job of being able to keep an eye on what's going on up front, plus keep an eye on Tony.
How do you know that?
He was my spotter.
Personal endorsement there. So it's Edwards and Truex, 1 and 2. Earnhardt Jr. third, Newman fourth in that 39. Then for fifth, old five-time Jimmy Johnson and Matt Kenseth. 48 car moving up.
Yeah, we talked about guys that might possibly win this race today. Jimmy Johnson's never won at this racetrack. He'd like to change that here today.
The question asked him by Dave Burns when we talked to him on NASCAR Countdown about the fact that he's come here trying to win a championship the last several years, and if he never really felt like he had the opportunity to race for the win. Well, he's got the opportunity today.
It's hard to believe, and heard him say that he'd been down here. It's been since 2003, since he was not here with a chance to win the championship. It's pretty incredible.
Jeff Gordon, 24, Casey Kane, 4, 7th and 8th. Talked to Jeff Gordon's crew chief Alan Gustafson this morning. He felt like they had a car that was a potential contender for the win.
It looks like it right now. This car looks really good.
And another guy that a lot of people talked about being a potential contender for the win, trying to get second place for Martin Truex there, is that 88 car, Dale Earnhardt Jr.
I know Dale Earnhardt Jr. would like that outside lane, but I don't believe Truex is going to give it up.
Now you see, Junior, what you fight down there is the track is really flat. You can see you get extremely loose, but this car's handling pretty well right now, Doc.
Indeed it is, DJ. In fact, Dale Jr. said, my car's as fast in race trim all weekend as it was in qualifying trim, and we qualified really well. The only issue, he can run the bottom, he can run the middle, but he wants to run the top, and you know the danger of running up into the wall. One mistake and you're going to bounce it off. He said, please, we got such a good race car. This could be our day. You've got to keep it out of the concrete.
So Junior settled in third. Behind him for fourth now, Jimmy Johnson, 48. Trying to move around Ryan Newman in the 39. Let me just mention while Jeff Gordon's in the picture just behind these guys, 24. Gordon was one of 3 guys who were in the top 10 before the pit stop, where we saw most everybody take just right side tires, that took 4 tires on the pit stop and gave up some track position, but are trying to make it up on the extra fresh rubber here.
Yeah, that could really pay off after you get about 20 to 25 laps on these tires. If we get a full fuel run, we can see this really work to their advantage.
Yeah, especially now that he's already in the top 5.
Gordon restarted 11th. You see him there running in 5th. Greg Biffle, one of the other guys, and Keselowski there, 16 and 2. That took 4 tires on the restart. Biffle was 9th. Keselowski was 3rd. Gave up the track position. Now trying to dig it back.
Biffle, a former winner here, won 3 races in a row with this racetrack. Greg Keselowski in that 2 car ran extremely well at Texas up over the high line. Really couldn't run the bottom, so this has to really suit his style here.
Yeah, I like his crew chief, Paul Wolf. He's always looking at these races strategy-wise for the end of the race. Even this early, he's thinking about positioning themselves for the end of the race. And I think maybe that's why he took 2 tires now. He's planning ahead. I mean, 4 tires, sorry.
Jeff Gordon, 24, trying to get 4th spot from Ryan Newman, 39.
Yeah, that's just a really difficult task, and we'll see this all day and into the evening. Faster race car, if somebody takes that high line away from you, trying to pass in the middle or the bottom is extremely difficult.
It really is fascinating. After they rebuilt this track for the 2003 races, this track was pancake flat. And at first it was a smaller replica of Indy, a 4-cornered racetrack. Then they redesigned it to be a flat oval track. Then they added the progressive banking. And it's a fascinating place to watch a race now.
And that's how you make a pass. That's an experienced driver right there. Jeff Gordon, he followed Ryan Newman into the corner that time. Probably made Ryan a little bit loose, turned his car down below him, and beat him down the straightaway then.
And he didn't go way down to the bottom. He stayed right up there next to Ryan and kind of took a little bit of that aerodynamic advantage that he had away.
Carl Edwards leading. Tony Stewart, remember, restarted in 40th position. He's up to 25th. And digging hard.
Yeah, he's carving his way through this, but he's had to work hard to make it all happen.
Just joining us, Stewart had a hole punched in the grill opening on the bottom of that car somewhere in the opening run of the race. They made 2 pit stops under the caution and went from 8th all the way back to 40th, making repairs.
One of the things I would be worried about in this case, it looks like the car's fine at this point, but I would be worried about maybe some internal damage to the ductwork that would change the airflow to the radiator. And you see how they've got the opening. Looks like it's about as good as it was to start the race. What are they saying about the car now, Ben?
Well, Andy, they just took that new grill screen and placed it over the top of the damaged one. They say it did not damage the radiator. The water temperatures are good. In fact, Tony says the car come back from this to win it, so his confidence isn't damaged either.
They're going to feel like after we kick their ass after this.
How about that? Stewart has been using his fast car to get this ground made up. He's also, well, let's just say, used the bumper when he's needed to try and dig his way up through some of the traffic here at Homestead. Cautions out for the second time, a Dave Blaney's single car spin. Carl Edwards, the leader, brings the field down pit road. Doc?
Left upper part of your screen, Dale Earnhardt Jr. back on pit road, 4 tires and fuel. Car really, really good. Just a little bit free on entry. Track changing very drastically. A lot of changes here with the sun out. Dave.
Jimmy Johnson running 6th. That ton of grip the first few laps, then it goes loose. Wedge and track bar adjustment for the second time today. 4 tires. Vince?
Casey Kane, upper right-hand side of your screen, loose on entry, 4 tires, air pressure, and a chassis adjustment. Jamie.
Carl Edwards in the 99, little tight in the middle, little loose off. 4 tires this time. They took 2 last time, and they made a track bar adjustment. Vince?
Tony Stewart, they're going to put a little more grill on the, a little more tape on the grill, trying to make sure it gets in the right position. They made a 4-tire change for Tony Stewart. You see, taking a little extra time to make sure they get that grill just right. In fact, the little front fender damage where Tony had made some contact earlier in the race, Alan.
All right, Vince, thanks. So Stewart made up ground after starting at the back of the pack on the last restart, giving all that ground back up again for repairs. Here's what brought out the caution. Trouble in turn 4. It's Dave Blaney in the 35 car. Well, no harm, no foul. How about that? A little rainbow here in South Florida. Join Goodyear in saluting America's armed forces. Give back by helping support our troops. Visit Goodyear.com/support our troops to learn more. Getting ready to go back green from the second caution here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Carl Edwards slipped a little bit in the running order on this pit stop. Pun intended. Watch the rear tire changer.
Slipped in some fuel back there, spilled. I've been a rear tire changer before, and I'll tell you, that's not fun.
Easy to have, easy to do. It made a nice recovery, though.
He did.
Leader is Juan Pablo Montoya. Did not pit under this caution. Remember, had a penalty last time. Looking to regain some track position in that 42. 3 wide for the lead. Kevin Harvick, Brad Keselowski shuffling Montoya back. It's Keselowski to the point in the 2. Back to 3rd after losing a couple of spots on that pit stop.
Brian Vickers up in there making that high line work for him, trying to go forward. Here comes Gordon to the inside.
Ryan Newman down low, 3 wide. 39 car. And Denny Hamlin in the 11. That's a tight squeeze there. Wow.
Look at the run that Truex gets too, right through the middle.
And can he make it stick off the corner? He's got another car on the outside. He has to fall in behind Brian Vickers.
Yeah, it's a little dicey here, huh?
Oh, these guys are racing. That's what it's about. Last time of the year. Got a few months off from here. Get it all out of the way. Montoya really struggling out there on those older tires.
Yeah, tires at this racetrack will fall off and lose a lot of speed in the opening 10 laps that you're running. Tires are going to be very important for these restarts.
I heard a lot of drivers this weekend as it started saying this track had lost a lot of grip. So the cars are sliding around, and when it does that, it makes tires real, real important.
It's been 3 years since I was on it. It didn't have much then, so I can't imagine what it's like now.
I was just going to say, we put a coat of pavement on you and leave you in the South Florida sun for the summer, and you'll lose a little grip, too. Tony Stewart trying to make up some ground. 40th to 25th before the pit stop, went back to 30th for the restart. Now he's up to 27th and trying to get a little more.
Oh, got a little trouble off four. Looks like Trevor Bain got in the wall right in front of Tony.
21 car. Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was a close call. Trevor Bain slipped up into the wall right in front of Tony.
Edwards and Harvick, that's for second spot. Sorry, Andy. A lot going on all at once here.
Hard to keep up.
Let me catch up on a couple things. Some guys made 2 tire stops under that caution. Brad Keselowski, Kevin Harvick, Mark Martin got whites only to get some track position. You saw the problem with Edwards and the tire changer just having that slip.
Edwards does have those 4 tires, but you can see even with that how difficult it is to get any grip down on the bottom part of the racetrack. Just can't carry that exit speed that you need. You need the whole track, and if you're trying to pass a car, obviously that makes it difficult to do.
You can make time if you run that bottom line, if you've got the whole track to work with, getting into the corner and coming off of the corner, so you can go all the way back up to the wall. But if you're racing somebody, you don't have that luxury.
Yeah, you have to be extremely careful being down there too much because you are having to put more wheel in in turning the car, so you're going to abuse your tires a little bit more, and so therefore at the end of a run you may fall off quite a bit.
Jimmy Johnson, 48. Trying to get around Ryan Vickers in the 83, and the 11th, Denny Hamlin. That's 10th, 11th, and 12th we're looking at there. A little over 50 miles into the final race of the NASCAR Sprint Cup season, the Ford 400, Homestead-Miami Speedway in South Florida. Story of this race so far, Tony Stewart, one of the 2 contending for the championship with some grill damage early that sent him from up by the top 10 all the way to the back of the pack. Now twice, Stewart's car seems to be behaving just fine though, and he's picking his way back forward in 23rd position. There you see the Band-Aids all over that 14.
Yeah, they worked on it hard and got it running good, and I think that as we watch these guys battle up front more, that's 2nd, 3rd, and 4th that we have right there. But I think it's important that we point out that Tony's not too worried about Carl Edwards leading the most laps here today. As long as Tony can get to the front and win this race, then it doesn't matter. They would tie in points, but Tony has the tiebreaker by the most wins.
Edwards gets through to second. Bump, bump, bump on the right side of the screen there from Kevin Harvick. And as Harvick backs off to get his entry into turn 3, here comes Jeff Gordon to try and get third in that 24.
After he gave Carl Edwards a little calling hard there with a little bump getting into turn 3.
Look at Stewart, left side of the screen.
Well, he's using all the racetrack to make these passes.
That is fun. Stewart around Marcus Ambrose in the 9. Stewart up to 19th now. That's 4 cars in the last lap he passed.
You know, I think one thing, Tony Stewart, and not that Carl Edwards doesn't either, commands a lot of respect out here because of the way that he races. And you heard him back a few weeks ago say that they've been playing nice all year. They're going to cash some tickets here, and that means he's calling in some favors. And I think that's how he's able to make some of these spots up if people are just giving him a little racing. Besides the fact he's pretty good.
Yeah. We talked about Trevor Bain slapping the wall off turn 4 a little bit ago in the Wood Brothers 21. Watch how close Tony Stewart came to Bain.
Right there, he gets in the wall and really breaks the momentum of Trevor Bain's car. Right here, he gets kind of squeezed almost into the back of it.
Clear.
And for the lead, Carl Edwards, who has led most of the opening section of this race, goes by Brad Keselowski.
We saw these 2 battle it out last night in the nationwide race.
Keselowski right on top of that one. Well, so far, what we thought would be a really interesting Ford 400 has sure started out that way. Edwards back to the point.
Championship weekend in South Florida. Homestead-Miami Speedway billed itself as the championship track. Tony Stewart, Carl Edwards, separated by just 3 points in a rough start for Tony Stewart. Some scary racing, some close calls, and of course that damaged grille, but Stewart is now up to 17th on the racetrack. But Carl Edwards is your leader. Let's take an inside look at what's happening in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, brought to you by Sprint. Once upon a time, in November of 2009, Denny Hamlin least, is Carl Edwards, leading 39 laps. Let's get a closer look inside the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series with unlimited access to highlights, news, and more. Go to sprint.com/speed. Leadership, so important in this sort of situation for Tony Stewart.
Yeah, and I think they're doing a great job. They did everything right, in my opinion. They repitted on lap 35. Stewart came in to refix the front of the car with the grill to make sure it's a perfect fix. Also to fix a little damage on the front of that car. They got to keep this car handling well. Yeah. Right now, it looks like it's in great shape. They're 100% prepared.
A lot of racing left, long way to go, and I love the way Tony Stewart has responded on the radio. Very calm demeanor, calming his crew. Just get the job done. I'll take care of everything on the racetrack.
Up to 16th, and Alan, not bad for a driver and a crew chief who we don't know if they'll be together next season.
Very fascinating speculation going on around this 14 team about the future after today. They've all naturally declined to talk about it, just like a baseball manager in the throes of the last games of the season isn't going to talk about his future. Let's see what happens with Darian Grubb going forward. But Tony Stewart is going forward. You know, Stewart has really made this championship fun. He and Carl Edwards both by going up there and racing head-to-head for wins these last couple of weeks, right? Even with all the talk going on. Now here's another determined drive from the back. We've seen Carl Edwards recover from misfortune 3 times in this chase. And Stewart appearing to be in fine shape to do that again today. Vince, he just passed Kyle Busch. He's up to 14th.
Well, the one thing Darian Grubb was certain of today when I talked to him before the race is that they had a car that would be very good on the long run. And I said, what makes you so confident that you've got a car that's race winnable? Because he said, we definitely have a winning car. He said, I can free it up or I can tighten it up, and either way I go, we don't lose speed. He said, I think that's the best kind of car to have, especially when you're expecting a track to change when the sun goes down and the track temperature cools. As far as his future, Darian admitted there's a lot of uncertainty, but there's no shortage of options for me outside of Stewart Haas.
And the big drive down into turn 3 for Tony to go by A.J. Allmendinger for 13th spot.
Well, it's really impressive with all the cars that he's had to pass here, and as he moves closer to the front, and that's to take over the 13th spot, this becomes more difficult because these are your faster cars that Tony keeps picking them off.
He is getting a lot of respect out there, though. I saw Kyle Busch basically move over and let him go. See A.J. Allmendinger give him the spot. And these cars are not just slowing down and letting Tony go. Tony's catching them. They're just moving over when he gets there to let him go so they don't impede his progress.
Now, a lot of attention on Tony Stewart from us in the first part of the race. He's been the story with those troubles and going to the back twice, right? But here's Carl Edwards out front, to use the saying, doing what he has to do. He's led the most laps so far, and Jamie, he's out in front of this race.
He's where he wants to be, Alan, in the car. So far, so good. He's saying he's a little bit loose and a little bit tight, but he's also thinking about what's above the racetrack.
There's a storm rolling north of us, bud. Tiny little speckles in our area, but nothing substantial. The storm is north. That's why you're seeing all those clouds.
And Carl loves a hot and slick racetrack, and that's exactly what it is right now. He's also asking his team, where is the 24 running? And they're telling him identical line and telling him where the 24 is gaining on him. So you see Carl Edwards on the left-hand side, keeps glancing up there and looking at his mirror to watch where the 24 is running.
Jamie, thanks. Meteorologist Bob Osborne from the top of the pit box.
There's another issue out there. The 9 car is actually on 7 cylinders. That's a Roush Fenway engine. I don't know what's going on with his, but that always would make me nervous. Vince?
Well, Andy, Marcos Ambrose radioed in, says, I think the motor's laying down. I switched batteries, but still to no avail. So certainly keep an eye on the 9. Not good news early on.
Marcos Ambrose, his 2011 season, remembered for that long, elusive NASCAR Sprint Cup win that came on the road course at Watkins Glen.
He's had a lot of other good runs, too. You have to think that maybe Doug Yates is trying some things in that 9 and maybe the 43 and some others that don't have a chance at this championship today, obviously, that they will be getting some things ready for next year.
It still makes me nervous. That's one of the engines out of the same shop that I'm getting them from. It'll make me nervous when you see one lay down.
Remember Kevin Harvick, 29. They took just right side tires on the pit stop at lap 35 for some track position. He is slipping back. He's racing here for 8th place with Jimmy Johnson in the 48. He was up there racing with Carl Edwards for 2nd a little while ago.
He's one of those that took 2 tires on that last pit stop.
Yeah, I'm just not sure that's going to be something that's going to work a whole lot here today. It may possibly, as we get to the time, sometime after 5:30 when the sun's going to set, maybe a little bit better, but I just don't see it working too well with these Cup cars that have over 200 more horsepower than what the Nationwide cars had yesterday.
Boy, here's Jimmy working that throttle.
Spent a lot of time doing that at this racetrack. What makes people like Carl Edwards and Tony Stewart so good here.
Yeah, they've already slowed down about a second and a half or so from what they could run on new tires. You can see just how much they would have to be pedaling right now.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. That makes me nervous to see somebody driving like that through turn 4. Progressive banking at Homestead-Miami Speedway, showing what it allows cars to do. Multiple lanes of racing. Jimmy Johnson working on Kevin Harvick, trying to get that 8th spot away from him. And he'll try and try and try again and see if he can finally succeed. Carl Edwards out in front, about a quarter of the way into the Ford 400 at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Tomorrow on ESPN's Monday Night Football, Tom Brady and the first-place New England Patriots look to remain hot as they host Rainbow and the Kansas City Chiefs, who are trying to stay alive in the wide-open AFC West. It's Chiefs-Patriots on ESPN's Monday Night Football at 8:30 Eastern, also available live on Watch ESPN. Coverage begins at 7 Eastern with Monday Night Countdown, served by Applebee's.
Who do you think's going to win that one out?
I got the Pats.
Yeah, fair to say that you'll be in front of the TV tomorrow night?
As a New England guy, yes. And, of course, got some great Monday night matchups upcoming as well. How about the Giants and the Saints?
Oh, yeah. Remember quarterbacks there.
Yes, sir. Eli Manning and Drew Brees. Hard to figure some of these matchups out in the NFL sometimes these days. Not hard to figure out this matchup. Carl Edwards leading the race. Tony Stewart recovering from early trouble. And the first real extended green flag run that we've had in the Ford 400 as we're just across 100 miles. Before we hit green flag pit stops, updates on some of the leaders as we go up to speed. Jamie?
Well, Alan, as you documented, the 9 car is down a cylinder. Crew Chief Bob Osborne just told his driver, just keep your head up, be aware of it. And Carl said, what car is that? And they said the 9, so he's keeping that, filing it in the back of his head. Next pit stop, look for more wedge and an air pressure adjustment. Doc?
And behind him, the 4-time champion, Jeff Gordon. He was the fastest Chevy in qualifying. He's the fastest Chevy in the race right now, running second. Jeff says the car, a little tight landing, a little bit loose off. They feel like they might have a good enough car to be a Hendrick has never won here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Jamie.
Great day so far for Martin Truex Jr. Started on the front row, second, his best start here. His car right now, he says it's pretty darn good. The team has told him, you're the fastest thing out there. Keep doing what you're doing. Look for him to take 4 tires on this next stop.
Behind him, the 88 car, Dale Earnhardt Jr., 8-time most popular driver. And folks, he thinks they got a great shot to get the victory lane today. On the last pit stop, after the last pit stop, he said the car got very, very loose, very free in, very free off. And even as loose as the car is, he is still very fast, running back in 4th position. Now back behind him in 5th spot is Matt Kenseth, who won here at Homestead-Miami back in 2007. Kenseth this morning said the car was terrible in practice, wouldn't do anything, would not respond. He made changes and moved it closer to the Carl Edwards setup. Now Kenseth has a pretty darn good race car. Alan?
Doc, thanks. A couple of early takers in the exchange of green flag pit stops. Mark Martin has just been in. David Reagan is leaving pit road. Paul Menard is in, and you see Kevin Harvick and Clint Boyer making stops. Doc?
Kevin Harvick third in the chase points and come on pit road now the last time and put right side tires on it. This time they're going to try to tighten the car up with a little free on entry, a little free on extra air pressure change and track bar. Dave?
Clint Boyer gave up the 9th position. He said the car was too tight in the middle, too loose off. They made adjustments for that, Vince. Well, the 16 of Greg Biffle is in. They had some issues earlier in a long pit stop, had to come back around a second time. Says the car's a little loose off. They're going to go down 1 round on the track bar, 4 tires and fuel. Jamie?
And Brad Keselowski getting the countdown into his pit box, the number 2 car. Says the car is pretty good. They took 2 on the last stop, right sides. Look for 4 this time. As his team watches, waits with a wrench in hand. There will be a chassis adjustment, Vince.
Tony Stewart is in. Stewart says it's just a little bit too tight, so they asked to make an air pressure adjustment. They did that, also made pulled a piece of tape off the front end as the water pressure was up just a little too high. Doc?
Dale Earnhardt Jr., 4 tires. They make an air pressure adjustment. He said the car was very, very loose, very free. And now they will go and make a chassis adjustment on the left side. Earnhardt Jr., good race car. A little trouble with the left rear tire. A little time wasted there. Vince.
The Ford car of Casey Kane been pretty good, but he says it's just not pivoting through the center nearly good enough. So they're going to put a spring rubber in the left rear, also make a chassis adjustment on the right side. It's a 4-tire change and filling it up with Sunoco fuel for Casey Kane. Jamie?
And the 99 is getting his call in all the way down that long drive, all the way into the number 1 pit box. Remember, the race, the championship can be won or lost right here. They must hit their marks. They go to work on the right side. Says he's a little bit free on throttle. They're going to do an air pressure adjustment, and you see the wrench right there, left side, that's wedge. That's what they did last time, and it helped this car come to life as they work on the left side. Hit all the lug nuts. They're solid. 13.1. Doc?
And with Edwards on pit road, Jeff Gordon assumed the lead, and now he is on pit road. They'll make a 4-tire change for Jeff Gordon. Remember, he said he was tight on landing and loose off. They want to go with minor changes. Air pressure only so far, trying to top it off with Sunoco fuel. Gordon away, out of investment.
Matt Kenseth, Jimmy Johnson have not yet pitted in this green flag cycle. When they do, things will cycle back around. There is Kenseth slowing, turn 4, giving up the lead. Doc?
Yeah, Matt Kenseth saying the car a little tight in the center, a little loose off of the turns. They have led a lap. That's why they wanted to stay out to get the bonus points for leading a lap. Right side chassis adjustment, crew down, scampering so far, flawless on the pit stop. You want to be very careful not to make a mistake. Drop a lug nut, clean the grill. Less than 13.5 seconds from Matt's away.
Jimmy Johnson stayed on the track, lead a lap. Of course, Johnson never finished worse than 5th in the championship. Wants to make sure he finishes this day in the top 5 in points.
He and Kenseth are kind of battling for that 5th spot in the points. So that extra point.
Down the pit road speed limit, 45 miles an hour.
Hammer's on 1 route.
And Chad Knaus calls out the adjustments to the crew, Dave.
The condition was that he was tight in the middle of 3 and 4 only, loose when he's inside of the race cars. And DJ, you called it correctly. And talking to Chad Knaus this morning, he said we are racing for 5th. They entered the day just 2 points ahead of the 17 car of Matt Kenseth. They've been behind him so far. They need to get that car just a little bit better for Jimmy if he's going to meet their goal.
Lengthy stop there. Yeah, rear tire change. It looked like he was a little slow in the right rear, especially.
Another.
All your gauges.
Roush Fenway
You're right
Ford.
there. I had both been soaked.
David Reagan cautions out. And right to the garage. Marcus Ambrose turned into the garage just before the green flag pit stop started.
That's 2 of those Roush H engines already that have let go.
David Reagan was in 18th position during the cycle of the green flag stops.
Stewart had driven himself all the way back up inside the top 10, 2/10. You can see this 6 car blowing up down the back straightaway. He was able to get down the access road.
See,
Actually,
flames coming out the bottom. Typically, that'll be an oil pan, a hole in the oil pan where a rod or a piston came through there. That's why you see that flame.
So, Andy, at what point 2 of these Fords that all get their engines from the same place just gone to the garage? If you're Bob Osborne, Carl Edwards crew chief, at what point are you starting to get a little nervous?
I'm sure he's a little nervous already.
Is he past the point?
Yeah, I know I would be.
First car running behind leader Carl Edwards as the pace car is gathered up the field is Casey Mears in the 13. He's the Aaron's Lucky Dog free pass. First driver a lap down. Mears in 29th place will come around the pace car and get back on the lead lap.
You can see a new sponsor on the side of that car. Some hopes that they're going to get quite a bit more help for that team next year.
With Jimmy Johnson's pit stop, the cycle for all the leaders had just ended. So, in a way, for a lot of these guys, the caution a help bunches them up to Carl Edwards. We got any takers on pit road here.
Some of the cars that pitted early, like I'm trying to think if it was Harvick. You see, here comes the 33 car Boyer. Some of those that pitted early might want to come on, and some of the guys that are back in the pack.
Clint Boyer was in 7th place and the first one to make the move to pit road. about it, Dave?
He was loose off the corner. He was tight going into the corner, so they're going to change right side tires. They'll put the track bar down to try to help that handling.
The 4-car of Casey Kane, they're going to try to unhook that rear bar. Going to put 4 tires on it, put it on a shorter rod in the rear. Just not happy with the way it's handling through the corner and pivoting that turn. So major change for Casey Kane here as they take a bigger swing at it. Double checking, making sure all the fenders are right, getting the top, the fuel topped off.
And we saw this team make a big change under green. They looked like putting a spring rubber in the left rear. Now you see them under the car, possibly messing with the rear sway bar.
Leave it unhooked and come back around, you know what I mean? Where's he at now, Cole?
Just halfway down the back.
So some big work going on there for Casey Kane by his pit crew. Jumping off point for us to tell you about the AT&T Fastest Pit Crew of the Year award. Kevin Harvick's team currently in the lead. You can help determine the standings. Vote from your AT&T phone by texting the car number to 234567 for the pit crew you think is the fastest and most valuable. Carl Edwards' pit crew kept him in the lead after a just completed round of green flag stops. Wrapping up caution number 3 in the Ford 400 for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series to decide the championship today here at Homestead-Miami Speedway in South Florida. Tony Stewart's had his troubles early in the race. Carl Edwards is leading, but then this on his radio a minute ago.
We pushed the limit on the tire right there, buddy, okay? We pushed the limit on the tire. Go hard, you don't go hard, you take care of it, okay?
Which tire? And how bad was it? Talk to me.
The right front tire, and it had a pretty big split on the inside edge.
And Carl Edwards concerned about the tire there, but his owner, Jack Roush, we've seen 2 engines go down in the Ford camp there. Jack, are you concerned at all about this 99?
Well, I'm obviously concerned because we've had a problem, but the package we're running is something we've got experience with, so they're probably just some kind of a component quality problem. I've texted to find out what's going on. If I don't get an answer pretty quick, I'll go down to the garage and take a look at it myself.
Okay, in the meantime, he's staying right here on the box and watching his text messages. Alan?
Here we go. Carl Edwards with Jeff Gordon alongside him for the restart. Oh, Tony Stewart. Had a little bobble there on that low line. Kyle Busch did a nice job behind him to keep him running over him, it looked like.
I'm not sure Tony got his tires cleaned off really well there. It looked like whenever he drove down the corner, it didn't go where he expected it to.
But everybody got away clean. Look at this, 4 wide.
The situation we had there was a lot of these cars stayed out with the hot tires and had that speedy dry on the track to clean up the mess from that blown engine. And it's really hard to get the tires clean in that situation.
That is dicey. Clint Boyer, 33rd car, gave up 7 for the pit stop. He was 17th for the restart. That's 5th place, Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88, and Matt Kenseth in the 17. Got Ryan Newman right behind him. For a team that's 17 that said their car wasn't very good and they threw everything at it, they must have hit on something.
Yeah, that's why you throw everything at it. That's what they have to.
Well, indeed they have, but they comment a moment ago from Dale Earnhardt Jr. said, guys, we have a vibration and it's getting worse. That was right before the caution came. I thought they could have caught a break. But Steve Letarte said, he checked with the crew guys, all the lug nuts were tight, and they said they're going to roll the dice. I said, Steve, what is it? He said, hopefully nothing major. And right now, Dale Jr. kept going early on, and they are rolling dice, guys, literally on this vibration.
Well, it seems like a big chance to take only 90 laps into the race here. If the vibration usually doesn't go away.
Yeah, that was a good opportunity for them to come in under that last caution, and they kind of bypassed it. So if they end up having to make a green flag stop, they'll be sorry for it.
Jimmy got the 7th, challenge there and passed by Jimmy Johnson. And now Brad Keselowski after him in the 2.
So Johnson did have a little trouble on their green flag pit stop, but looked like the adjustment they made on this car is a good one.
Look at Junior jumping out of line.
And Tony Stewart around Brad Keselowski. Wasn't he just up passing a couple cars in that last set of corners? A lot of things going on here. Guys, I'm different tire schedules. Sun beginning to set. Sets at 5:30 Eastern time, about an hour away. There is some overcast now. Track temperature changing. Conditions changing. And drivers, in some cases, finding out by feel at 170-something miles an hour whether their cars agreeing with these current conditions or not.
What's wrong with this car? He's got a problem.
Yeah, he's not happy with what he's got here right now, and I think he's frustrated maybe that they didn't take the opportunity to pit and make sure that this wasn't a tire issue or something. See Tony take a spot. I'm sure that one was given pretty easy.
From his teammate Ryan Newman, Stewart up to 7th place in the 14. As Tony Stewart has been picking his way back from the back of the pack following his earlier troubles, we caught this on his radio.
Where are we at in this contest? I don't even know why we qualified. This is a lot more fun to watch. Hell, it's a lot more fun to race. Oh yes, this is not over.
He hasn't lost any confidence so far.
Unfortunately, they're not giving any points away today for how many cars you pass, or he'd be way ahead in that game.
Tony Stewart, the highest he's been in the race so far. 7th place.
He's going to find these next spots a little more difficult to take away, and especially when he gets up there to that guy that he's battling for the championship. Carl Edwards has set sail all day here.
But you know, in an era of parity, and that, you know, how many racetracks do we talk about where everybody's running the same lap time, right? How many cars has Tony Stewart passed today? He's obviously got a really, really good machine underneath him.
He's got that, and it's fun to watch these drivers that have that and that talent to be able to go. We talk about, we see them slide these cars around, and not everybody can do that, but we're seeing these top guys up there doing it today.
Stewart up to 7th behind Carl Edwards, who has led the most laps so far in this race and continues to lead the Ford 400.
100 down, 167 to go in this championship race at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Let's take an inside look at what's happening in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, brought to you by Sprint. NASCAR fans voted at sprint.com/speed on the driver they wanted us to go in car with. Carl Edwards was the top choice. So let's go on board now via the Evo Cam and listening to a conversation just a bit ago between Edwards and his crew chief, Bob Osborne.
All right, Brad, a little update here. We are P1, obviously P1, 14 is P9, P9.
10-4, they get all their trouble fixed.
Looks like they got it all patched up.
Back in 1999, Tony Stewart got one of his 2 wins at this track. The race paced 140.3 miles an hour. That was in November of 1999. Today's fastest lap set by the leader and the points leader, Carl Edwards, at 171.838. Those two really just can't get away from each other. Right now, Stewart is in 6th, Edwards is leading, but Rusty, we do have concerns as we take a closer look at NASCAR Sprint Cup Series with unlimited access to highlights, news, and more. Learn more at sprint.com/speed. We do have some concerns about Carl Edwards.
Yeah, we do have concerns for the 99 car. Carl Edwards, his teammates, the 6 car and the 9 car have already blown up engine. They got engine problems. Tell you what, in my opinion, there's a couple ways to fix that, or at least baby this motor a little bit to make sure this 99 doesn't have a problem. He needs to really be careful on his restarts, Nicole, not to rev the motor too much. And he can back up the corner a little bit, not bomb the car down in the corner so deep. He's already mentioned he's got a right front tire that had a cut on it. They might have pushed the limit there. It's something they need to work on there. As we're watching the 48, it looks like an unscheduled pit stop now, guys.
Watch your oil pressure. All the vitals are fine, temps are fine. The throttle feels weird. I don't know if something's in the airbox or caught in the airbox.
5-time. Never won at this track.
Wow.
Clearly not having much luck today. We'll go back upstairs to Alan Bestwick.
Yeah, Nicole, and Jimmy was 5th at the time he slowed. He just made a couple of kind of bold passes in the last 10 laps of this race, and it's never a good sign when the hood goes up.
He said he had some kind of problem with the throttle, too. It sounded like it was on 7 cylinders when it came by here. Almost like we heard some of those Roush Yates engines when they blew up.
Checking, you see pressing down on the plug wires to make sure they're all still attached.
Yeah, that's when you're really hoping it's something that simple.
Well, Jimmy Johnson's race here at Homestead-Miami Speedway the last 5 years has ended with him hoisting the NASCAR Sprint Cup Championship trophy. We already knew that's not how this one was going to end. He was hoping to at least grab the race win trophy. Not today. There's the lead, first to second. Carl Edwards out in front of Jeff Gordon by 1.02 seconds. NASCAR officials keeping an eye on a shower that is visibly closing in on the turns 3 and 4 end of this racetrack. Not a heavy one, but it's out there.
We can see it. We can see it just off the speedway in turn 3 and 4.
Look right at the top of that shot right there. There it is, right across the lens. Caution for rain. Sorry, Dale. Caution for rain. And you got to be careful when you got guys running at 170 and 80 miles an hour when you can literally see the weather coming.
You can see it coming, and you can't put these drivers in that position. These tires have no grooves on them. They are slick, and it only takes a little bit of moisture. This place is slick enough already.
Check it out. Got a rainbow. But see on the left side of the screen here, that's literally, you could see like the curtain of rain coming down.
It's hitting hard at 3 and 4 now. You can see it on the wind. Track's getting soaked. Looks like it's just going to be local. I don't think it's going to get the whole track. Like it might just get turn 3 and 4.
That's Florida. Lived in the Sunshine State for 10 years. You could literally watch it pouring on your neighbor's house and be sitting in your front porch in a chair and be bone dry.
And getting the suntan.
Yes, sir. So just past 150 miles, caution for the 4th time, second caution for rain. And that rain beginning to move across the speedway from turns 3 and 4 to turns 1 and 2. Jack Roush has been busy back in the garage area in this little last while, Dave.
Alan, he walked all the way from the head of pit road all the way back to the 6th garage where he talked with members of his engine department about what happened, and the crew chief, frankly, Drew Blickensderfer, about what happened on the 6th car. I asked Jack, did you get any information that would be definitive and help you with the 99 car this afternoon? He said, we believe it was a bearing issue. That is a random issue. It's something they dealt with earlier this year, really had nothing to point to, so in his mind, they don't see the same thing possibly happening to this car.
Well, they've only lost 2 engines in races so far this year of all of the Roush Yates cars, so it is kind of unusual.
So certainly something to make the day a little more nerve-wracking for Jack Roush and Bob Osborne and that entire team as they have led most of this race so far to this point. Pace car bringing the field down pit road, the shower literally moving across the speedway from one end to the other, and the track surface has been wet. And so the field will be brought down the pit road, cars shut down, and car covers placed on them, and already the jet dryers have been sent out onto the speedway. That's how quickly we expect the shower to pass and the racetrack to take up some of that Florida sunshine and drive back out.
The bad thing is it's traveling exactly across the track, and it's probably no bigger than the track itself, but it's going to get the whole track.
Jimmy Johnson sitting on pit road, Dave.
Yep, we are witness to that passing over the whole track, by the way. They have changed ignition boxes, both of them on that 48 car. Jimmy saying it did not fix the problem. He refired it. And then Chad said, well, let's change carburetors. Let's change spark plug wires. Let's just change stuff. They're going through the entire checklist, trying to find out why the 48 engine is missing right now.
A lot of speculation about the future of Chad Knaus with this 48 race team past the end of this season. Team saying today there was no question in their mind. And in fact, Jimmy Johnson talking earlier in the weekend in his press conference here at the racetrack that Chad and he had already been in meetings about next season, how to get better at what their deficiencies were this year and go about trying to get back to championship caliber racing again.
I'm sure that took away some real hopes that some others had that they might be splitting up.
Yeah.
That wasn't welcome news when they found out Chad was coming back, because they are definitely a powerful group right there with the 2 leaders, Chad Knaus and Jimmy Johnson on this team.
Butch Cassidy and Sundance. Give me some other good pairings here that we might throw as Chad Knaus and Jimmy Johnson. don't know, Spider-Man and Superman. Come on, help me out here. Talk myself
I'm going to
into
stay within the sport. How about Jeff Gordon and Ray Evernham?
There you go. Talk myself into a corner there, didn't I? Just under an hour and 15 minutes was the red flag period, but the red has been withdrawn, the yellow is out, and the pace car leading the field of cars back onto the racetrack to resume this Ford 400. Now that the red is withdrawn, Jimmy Johnson's team can resume working on the 48 car. Remember the hood up on that car just as the rain began with some engine troubles, and we heard from Chad Knaus a minute ago. They'll throw a few more things at it, but they suspect it's a pretty serious internal engine problem. As we get set to cross halfway in this Ford 400 for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, the race that'll decide who's champion. Edwards the leader, Stewart running fifth. 2 of the 4 cautions have been for rain. Edwards has been the dominant driver on the night, out in front for almost all of the green flag laps of this race. And of course, Carl Edwards with a lot of success at this racetrack, but not yet a NASCAR Sprint Cup champion, hoping to turn more success at this racetrack tonight into his first championship at this level of competition. And certainly his sponsor and manufacturer supporter would really enjoy that if it came in the Ford 400.
Well, that was an eventful day when Kurt Busch won. That had a right front tire to come completely off. Made it down pit road and still managed to win the championship.
Tony Stewart, winner of 4 of the 9 races in the championship, and those are his 4 wins this season. Winless entering the chase, but made it barely.
Yeah, he fixed that once he got in the chase.
Didn't waste any time, did he?
Trying to overcome past history as well. Nobody's ever gone winless in the opening 26 races and won the championship. There are a couple of cars making pit stops before the pit lane is open. They'll have to go to the back of the pack when we go back racing, but we've heard in a lot of the interviews we've done under the rain delay some people with some pretty serious work to do on a couple of these race cars.
Yeah, we know Casey Kane was talking about they needed to come in and make a major change, but we see Trevor Bayne also in there, and he was all the way up to 11, so it's kind of surprising to see him on pit road before the pit road opens because they'll have to go to the rear. They're still working on Jimmy's car, trying to diagnose this problem. It looks pretty grim, but they're going to keep working on it and see if they can figure it out.
And NASCAR continuing to work on drying the racetrack a little bit before they'll open the pit lane. They've also got some of the jet dryers on the pit lane coming counter to the flow of the race cars on the pit lane to try and dry that up before you put race cars. I mean, think about it. A race car is still doing 45 miles an hour on that pit lane. You don't want to do it with a treadless tire on a damp surface.
Yeah, and they weren't able to do any track drying on pit road with the car sitting there. So get them out on the track and they let the drivers come up and down pit road. Then they'll have a safe pit road for everybody.
And there are those jet dryers working backwards up the pit lane, and that's why the pit road remains closed at this point. Pit crew's ready to go to work in just a moment. Give us a minute to tell you about the AT&T Fastest Pit Crew of the Year Award. Fastest Pit Crew determined by the winner of each race, the fastest pit time, and you, the fans, vote. Kevin Harvick's team will win the AT&T Fastest Pit Crew of the Year Award. Congratulations to them, and thanks to you for participating.
Yeah, congratulations to all the Richard Childress team over there. Good job, guys.
Yeah, they were a big part of getting Kevin Harvick in this chase and having a great opportunity to win a championship. Just had a few bad breaks along the way, but nothing that they did. They did a fantastic job.
Can't win the championship tonight, but could win the race. Harvick running in 3rd position, shutting it off and coasting.
Yeah, I don't know why. They're getting ready to make a pit stop, fill it up with fuel, unless they feel like they're about to run out now. Not knowing exactly how many laps they'll run under the caution here before they open pit road.
Yeah, and pit road's going to be closed for a few more laps. What's Carl doing? Giving the back of that pace vehicle a bump. So while it's going to be a couple of more laps before they open things up, how about a chance to talk to our in-race reporters for the day?
Hey, Carl, Dale Jarrett, ESPN. You have a copy?
Gotcha, Dale.
Carl, you were in the nationwide race, which was under the lights last night. Did being in that race going to help you to know kind of what adjustments you may need to make to your car here?
Yeah, I think it helped me a little bit. Mike Beam and the guys in the Fastenal Mustang compared notes with Bob, and I think it could help. You know, it was a nice little intermission too. Got some popcorn and got to hang out with the family a little bit. This will be pretty fun.
Well, you've been extremely fast all day. You said coming here that this is your best racetrack. Nothing so far to tell anybody any different, right?
Yeah, we've been really fast. You know, the track is going to change, though, and Bob and the guys know that we can't rest on what we've done so far. We've just got to go out, adjust this Snap-like fusion, keep running hard, and, you know, and just win this thing.
Okay, Carl, thanks for talking. Good luck the rest of the race.
Thanks a lot.
While Carl has led most of the laps today, Tony Stewart has passed some 49 cars after his early trouble to get up to 5th.
Tony Stewart, Dale Jarrett, the ESPN. You have a copy?
Yeah, bud, where you been?
Well, just hanging out, watching you walk up and down pit road. Looks like you're still pretty loose, buddy.
I should be. We passed about 85 cars already today, so it's not exactly how we had it planned, but you know, we're back in the top 5 now, and that's something I'm pretty proud of. These guys on this Office Depot Mobile One team have done a great job. Surgeon's been doing a great job of leading them and keeping them calm.
All right, Tony, thanks for talking. Good luck the rest of the race, buddy.
All right, man, thanks.
All right, bud, hit the road.
There's the word from Darian Grubb before I even said it. Pit road's open this time by. Another chance for the crews to go to work here. Stop's going to be with 154 laps to go. It is Edwards, Gordon, Harvick, Truex, Stewart, your top 5. Doc?
And the track has cooled off. Rubber's washed away. They think it's going to get a little bit freer. They're going to put a half around in the left rear for Jeff Gordon. He said, by the way, I think we're going to be really good now with the track. Kevin Harvick below him pitting right side tires on his Chevy. He's been tight in the middle. This track change should help him. Vince.
Upper right-hand portion of your screen, Tony Stewart. Crew Chief Darian Grubb said, I don't want to make major changes because we're not sure what the track will do, so they'll just make a slight air pressure adjustment. Jamie?
Carl Edwards, too, said that it's going to get freer. 4 tires and another wedge adjustment. It's been the same adjustment in that left rear all night long. They continue to work, widen the grill. Down and away, 14.5, a little bit longer. Jeff Gordon wins the race off pit road. Actually, it's Kevin Harvick.
Yep, it is, Jamie, because they took just right side tires on that 29 car. That's just interesting.
Yeah, it is. I question that call.
Surprising, a lot of laps they got. Plus the car sitting there, the air pressure goes way down. You're really not sure where that's at.
Yeah, I'd rather have 20 tires on it right there. I don't know what that call was for, but you probably just want to try to see what their car will do with clean air on the front.
A couple of other quick stories to follow up on. There's Jimmy Johnson back on the track, Dave.
Yes, he is, Alan. Apparently it was the carburetor during when the caution flag came back out. They replaced the carburetor. They fired it up, and Jimmy radioed in. It's running right. They also very carefully, while the guys were under the hood, changed 4 tires and sent him back out there. So not all lost for today. And if internally everything is okay, I guess that's the other question. The carburetor did help, but there still may be some internal issues. We'll keep an eye on it.
Okay, Dave, thanks. But as you saw a second ago, Jimmy Johnson 5 laps down in 36th place. They'll be looking to take some wave rounds when they can, if they can.
If everything's fixed.
Greg Biffle stayed out to lead a lap, now comes down the pit lane in that 16 car.
Yeah, looks like they're doing some work on the front end of the car, and that's probably why they stayed out to lead the lap and come in and do this work, because they knew they were going to give up all their track position anyway.
Greg Biffle in a battle for that 13th spot in the points.
But Greg's the one that told us earlier he got some oil on his windshield, had some trouble with visibility driving into turn 1, and got that damage.
See something that he hit. Yeah. Speaking of hitting,
yes, those are feet hanging out from the back of the 21 car.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing. They had a really good car. Had driven the thing up to 11th and decided to make that pit stop, and they did it early, so they'll have to start in the back on this restart.
And when the caution came out for the rain, Bobby Labonte got back on the lead lap. Got the Aaron's Lucky Dog free pass, was the first car a lap down. Looked like some major adjustments on that car as well, but Bobby's back on the lead lap. It's going to show in about 29th position.
a lot of these teams working on maybe where the rear bar is on these cars, and it's a rear anti-sway bar that they use instead of putting such stiff springs back there.
That's what it looks like. I mean, when they're laying under the car, it looks like they're either unhooking or hooking that bar up or making a change in it. You know, they've got different ways that they can actually attach the links that'll change the stiffness of it.
Going to see the 34 and 71 pass the pace car there. Wave arounds to get back on the lead lap for David Gilliland and Mike Bliss. And Kevin Harvick, now the leader, comes up behind the pace car and chooses the inside lane for the restart. Just 2 right side tires changed by the 29 on this stop. And look at how this is going to shake out after the pit stops. Who's going to be side by side in the second row?
Well, we had to know that was going to happen here shortly.
How about it? Strategy on the 29, Doc.
Let's find out why, Gil Martin, why the 2 tires stop when everyone else, almost everyone took 4.
Well, I mean, with the Budweiser Chevrolet, it's been pretty good tonight. We just decided we'd try it now to see how it's going to work out for later. If it doesn't pan out for us, we'll see how it is at night. But I'd rather try it now than do it later and it mess up. So we'll see how it works out. A lot of laps to go.
Okay, little experiment early here. 2 tires only for Kevin Harvick, puts him up front.
Doc, thanks. 31 cars on the lead lap. We're just shy of halfway in the Ford 400. Final race of the NASCAR Sprint Cup season to decide the championship. Not with us earlier, Tony Stewart had early troubles, went all the way back to 40th. Now he's all the way up alongside his rival for the title, the man who's dominated and led most of the laps in this race, Carl Edwards. A lot of racing to go, transition in track conditions, and probably a little transition in intensity here on this restart too, as we get back to racing here in South Florida. Edwards runs up on the back of Harvick, who had to hesitate for a second. Stewart goes by him.
Boy, Stewart's really got these restarts down pat lately. Ready to go there.
First time he's been in front of this 99 car all day.
3 wide. Denny Hamlin on the move in the 11 car. Edwards and Harvick. A little side to side there.
Yeah, a little disagreement over space. Here comes Truex in the middle of the two, trying to separate that.
You can see Carl Edwards' car kicking up sand coming off the corner. You can see the track's not completely clean.
Edwards settles into 3rd. Stewart is 2nd. Jeff Gordon, now the leader after the shakeout from the restart.
Well, Tony Stewart would desperately like to get in front and get a lap led, get that bonus point.
You just have a feeling every single point is going to be important near the finish of this one. A lot of discussion coming into the weekend about manufacturer alliances, team alliances, couple of Chevrolets here, couple of cars with affiliations with Hendrick Motorsports. Gordon owned by Hendrick. Stewart getting their chassis and engines from Hendrick. Does Gordon pull over and let somebody lead a lap for the bonus point?
I'd be asking anyway. It never hurts to ask, but I'm sure that Jeff Gordon is going to say, buddy, you got in this on your own, you're going to have to get it.
Like Juan Pablo Montoya, sorry, into the wall off turn 4. See the damage on the right front of that 42 car.
Kind of sums up what their season's been like he talked about in the interview. It's been a struggle.
I'm not sure that Tony Stewart's going to need Jeff Gordon to pull over. Looks like he's going to, I don't know, maybe that's exactly what's going on though. Tony ran him down pretty good that lap. Didn't give it to him though.
No, he got back to the gas awfully hard to be letting him try to lead a lap. I think it's just a matter that Tony's car is really good here.
Stewart trying the lower lane, Gordon running the higher lane. While they run this way, let's go back and give you another look at what happened to Juan Pablo Montoya, who was running 10th at the time.
Oh man, he really got out of shape. Hit the concrete part of that wall.
Brad Keselowski right behind him in that blue 2 car.
Yeah, did a nice job of checking up, and that happens. It's tough to miss that.
42 is on pit road. Edwards looking for 2nd on Stewart. All right, so now Carl's got Tony in his sights. Tony knows Carl's right behind him. How much does the mind start to play here, and how difficult is it as a driver, if you're Carl, for example, to be patient as you come up on Stewart?
Well, I think you have to continue to be that. We've said there's a lot of racing left to go. But the one thing that Carl Edwards knows, we see Tony Stewart dive to the inside. He's going to try to make this pass. Don't know if he's got enough momentum to get off the corner.
Oh, wow, that's tight.
Man, that's a
see how
power
much
move.
it means to him right now.
But he's got to run this time. Can he do the slide job on him in 3?
Well, I think Gordon saw that Tony was bound and determined to get the lead right now and get that bonus point. He wasn't going to put either one of them in a bad position. Tony's going to get this.
Carl got a good view of that, too, to see that determination.
And the one thing Carl Edwards knows that if Tony Stewart wins this race, then he's going to win the championship.
Check it out. With that pass on Jeff Gordon. As they run, Tony Stewart goes to the championship lead. He was 40th earlier in this race.
You wouldn't have known it by listening to him, though, because he was still confident while he was in the back of the pack making those passes that he could get up here and do what he's doing right now.
I'm still not sure that Carl Edwards is too concerned even right at this moment. I mean, he certainly knows now that from earlier in the race when he thought that things might be a lot easier, he knows he's got a battle, but I still believe he feels firmly that his car might be the one to beat before this is over.
I've seen Tony in this spot during this chase. When he gets that lead, he's not going to let anybody have it easily, even in the middle of the race. Here comes Junior.
7th place here, trying to take it away from Kyle Busch in the 18. Know that we've called Kyle's number much today. A Toyota Racing Development engine under the hood of this 18 after they had 2 engine failures at Phoenix last week. Crew Chief Dave Rogers and Gibbs Racing Competition Director Jimmy Nakar both telling me you got to get some feedback on how these TRD engines that the 18 will run next season feel from Kyle. After what happened last week, no reason not to do it this week.
Well, there is a different feel to it. And talking to Denny Hamlin as he changed over to that earlier, there's also things that you have to do to the race car, Andy, with the way this Toyota engine sits in there.
Yeah, different engine people have different packages in the way that the engine does fit in the race car, and that changes some of the things that you do. So that's one reason to get it in there this year, and they get some experience with it going into next season. I'll tell you, Tony's flying. I look at his lap times. He is really flying. Vince?
But you know, it was during one segment of the race in Martinsville after they had fallen back, and then they worked on the car, worked on it, came back, and Tony, at that point, gained the confidence in the car, and he came over the radio and he said, "We can do this." Since then, it's been the motto. Ever since then, the confidence of this team has been sky high. We've heard it from Tony all week long. We heard it during the rain delay, and nothing has changed. They've got a good race car. Tony hasn't complained about it at all since we came back from the rain delay.
And Vince, the fact that Stewart can't lose any ground in the championship, the worst he can do is second, has certainly played into his attitude and approach to this final race.
We can't lose anything. I mean, we only have the championship to gain. So it's a pretty cool way to go into the weekend, knowing that we can just let it all hang out and go for it. You know, we don't have to play cautious.
If you think about it for Stewart, and he said this earlier in the week in the press conference, they kind of didn't expect to be in this position with the way that they just barely got into this championship chase. And here they are now, knowing they can't finish any worse than second in points. Why not?
You know, that's the thing. This is what you've seen in this team the whole chase, is that there's never been any pressure on anybody. I mean, even when you hear Darian Grubb, they talk to him, he's not feeling any pressure, just has all the same confidence. And I think that comes from Stewart, too, because he's just out there, you know, talking about what they're going to do now and all the confidence that he has. It does carry over and spill over into the race scene.
Stewart, a little gap on second place Jeff Gordon, who's got a rearview mirror full of Carl Edwards in that 99 car. Maybe not for long. Edwards drives through to second. The championship duo running in the top two.
You'll catch that 14 in a heartbeat here.
And as Edwards picks up the point for passing Jeff Gordon, they're tied. Remember, tiebreaker goes to Tony Stewart, most wins. Wouldn't it be something if it came down to that?
And we don't expect any less. I mean, these two drivers and team have shown us they're the very best. They were the ones ready for this 10-race chase. We expected these two to battle it out right up front, just as they're doing.
seen between them the last couple of weeks, where they raced door-to-door for the win in Texas. They raced door-to-door for the lead a lot of the race at Phoenix. A lot of us wondered, could it come down to these two, one of them having to win the race to win the championship today? Jamie, it just might.
Exactly, and his team just cheerleading, telling him right now, you are better than both of those cars. Also, Bob Osborne reminding his driver, don't overdrive the car. Remember, they pushed the limit on the right front. He said, take care of your equipment, just be calm. Carl was very calm on the radio, came back and said, I'm just a little bit tight center.
Yeah, that's the one thing that Tony Stewart is doing right now. He is setting the pace, and now Carl Edwards can't sit there and take care of that right front or take care of that engine. He's got to run hard.
Trevor Bain.
Still coming inside. They're about 5 to the 47.
Got a piece of the wall again in that 21 car.
He got a good piece of it, too.
Was running 22nd at the time.
Yeah, it didn't hit it that hard. It looks like he may have a tire going down.
The question is, did he drop any debris? And the answer is, we're going to check.
Caution's out.
As the race reaches its midway point, the caution comes out for the 5th time for debris from the 21 car. Slowing the field with Stewart first and Edwards second.
Kevin Harvick had dropped back to 6th spot on those 2 tires, so I think maybe they saw that experiment wasn't exactly what they're going to need. This is going to give them the opportunity to put 4 tires on.
All right, so let me put my championship crew chief on the spot here, because we saw earlier in the race a few guys take just 2 tires when they hadn't run that many laps on tires.
Yeah, I still like 4 tires right here. I just, you know, just from what we've seen on the performance of 2 tires, I just don't like it, and especially if I'm Tony Stewart, because they've been able to pass a lot of cars tonight. I'd rather do it on 4 tires.
17 laps of racing in that run.
It does put you at that limit, you know, inside that limit where you would definitely consider 2 tires. I still like 4. And for Stewart, if he got 4 tires here, and even a lot of people got 2, he's not going to lose that much because he is the leader. He won't, you know, obviously keep the lead, but he won't go too far back.
Thought I just saw the crewman up on the wall there. The official that's in the pit wants to know if you're going to do 2 or 4, so he doesn't get caught crossing in front of the car when it's leaving. I thought I just saw the tire changer mouthing to the official in Tony Stewart's pit 4.
I know Tony likes 4 most of the time, especially when you got a car that's handling good. And this is a slick racetrack. I know we said that a lot, and just because it's gone in tonight, this is not a lot of grip to be had out there, so I think 4 tires is the best call.
Unless my lip reading skills are pretty off here.
No, we'll see.
Stewart and Edwards, 1 and 2. Gordon, Truex, Hamlin, Harvick. Gordon will hit first here. Doc.
Yeah, Jeff Gordon said, I know I'm a little bit loose, but man, that 14 is strong. And so what he has asked for to help him tighten up is about 1 round down on the track bar, 4 tires, and top it off with Sunoco Field Day.
Dave Rogers asked 2 or 4, Kyle. Kyle said 4, but keep your eyes open. We'll see car little tight adjustments. Jamie, Vince.
A little tight in the center of 1, a tick free on the entry at both ends for Tony Stewart. Darian Grubb said 4 tires is the only change. Jamie?
And Carl Edwards said he's just a little bit tight in the center. 4 tires again. This time around, there was a wrench pulled out. No changes. Carl Edwards down and away.
A couple of cars out pretty quickly. He went for it again. And look who went for the rights only again. Kevin Harvick.
Yeah, I don't quite get that one. Stewart lost quite a few spots on his 4-tire change. See, Edwards only lost a couple.
Yeah, Tony got trapped, too, going out of pit road there with some cars pulling out in front of him.
And might have had a little trouble on the right side tire change on his stop, particularly around the right front. Keep an eye on this.
Yeah, having trouble getting the lug nuts off.
Sometimes that lug gets hung in the socket. You saw him look like maybe he had to.
Yeah, sometimes that can happen to you, but more than likely it was just he didn't get all of them off. Had to go back and get one.
Yeah, watch as he goes down through here. I think Denny Hamlin is going to pull out in front of him. He has to check up. That's going to let Kyle Busch go by him.
Pulled out in front of Hamlin, too. So all that work to get up to the lead. Now Stewart's going to find himself back about 9th position when we go for the restart. We go NASCAR nonstop, presented by Nationwide Insurance. Double up for the restart. That'll come with 129 laps to go. Carl Edwards shuffled back to 4th from 2nd by other strategy. Tony Stewart shuffled all the way back to 9th by some troubles on the right front.
Yeah, he said a little hiccup. It cost him a little time on the pit stop, and looks like Edwards did just a little better job of getting down pit road and all.
This green flag restart presented by American Ethanol. Stewart out of line, quickly on the move in turn 1. Got no place to go in traffic. Look at this, 4 wide.
Wow, look at that. Kenseth out of shape coming off the corner.
Edwards looks for 2nd on Ryan Newman.
He might lose 3rd to Martin Truex.
Truex got a huge run off the corner.
Remember this racetrack with the progressive banking. Lower banking in that low lane that Edwards will try to use. Most of the cars will run up top as they get more laps on the tires.
Truex talking the rain delay that his car didn't have the speed that these others had on a restart. Looks like they fixed part of that problem.
Truex so good in this race a year ago before a flat tire took him out of contention. He and Carl Edwards did a lot of leading. In fact, Truex has had great success at this racetrack. One of his better statistically. Tony rallying back. The big bold move on the opening lap of the restart. We've seen it now from him a couple of times. And for the lead. Truex trying to find a way around Kevin Harvick. Jimmy Johnson.
Did we hit? Keep going if you didn't hit. Keep going. Keep going. Stay on track. Stay on track.
Dude, I got 4 flat tires.
Johnson had taken the wave around before the caution, so he was out there on older tires, trying to get one of those lost laps back after the engine problem.
Yeah, he's got a little damage on that left rear corner, like he's got some help maybe.
So the wave around lap just went back the other way for the 48. Where were this early 48?
And it was loose the whole way down in there. I don't know what happened, but I started spinning out as soon as it turned into 3.
Well, it looks like he didn't get any help. That thing just jumped out from under him.
There's a little contact with the wall on the right rear.
There's where
it came with the left rear.
So he did get some help at the end of it.
Long slide without hitting anything.
Yeah, it's kind of weird how that car just broke loose. He could have had a slow leak maybe in the right rear.
And Kurt Busch just barely missed Jimmy when he was spinning.
Inside. Hold on to it, baby. Hang on to it.
I love watching the eyes in those things. The night races, when they've got the clear shield, the driver does. You see him looking to the right down the track to steer around whatever he might be going to hit. Most of the front runners have stayed on the racetrack. Jamie McMurray in 13th place, first taker on pit road under this caution. So Kevin Harvick out in front. Carl Edwards runs 3rd. Tony Stewart running 9th. We go NASCAR nonstop, presented by Nationwide Insurance. Field getting the signal. One more lap, and we will go back racing with still 121 laps to go in the championship deciding race, the Ford 400 at the Homestead-Miami Speedway in South Florida.
Ford 400 at Homestead Miami is brought to you by the 2011 Ford F-150, built Ford tough, Silver Star Ultra headlights from Sylvania, and Papa John's Million Pizza Giveaway, only at papajohns.com.
And for this restart, Kevin Harvick is the leader. Tony Stewart is running 9th. Carl Edwards is running 3rd.
You with me, bud? Know what I'm asking. Let's stay focused here. Big picture now.
No problem. I am. What do you see?
I just thought you were being a little aggressive with that 56 there going into the corner one time.
We're good. I'm good.
And fourth, just looking out for you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
You've both been in that situation before, racing for a championship atop the pit box behind the wheel.
Well, one thing you see on the pit box is you don't know exactly how much chance he's taking by the way he's racing. Only the driver knows that.
Yeah, it sounds like Carl's got it under control. No problem.
121 laps to go. Green flag. Three wide again. It's Kyle Busch to the bottom side, and they're 3 wide for the lead up front. Truex through on the bottom of the 56 car. On the outside of the 39.
Here comes Tony underneath Carl Edwards. Tony got a great restart that time.
He made that inside work. He was able to stay in the throttle, and nobody held him back that time. He lost a couple of spots last time he tried that. And the gas hard here, though.
3 wide right in front of them. How about 4 wide? Stewart to the bottom.
Wow.
He's sure not being conservative.
That guy's on a mission.
He was 9th for the restart. 2 laps. He's 3rd. That's amazing.
Yeah, he's got a good car, but that's some driving.
Feeling some heat from Matt Kenseth in the 17. Edwards right behind Kenseth, running 5th. Oh, look at this. 3 wide there.
For that start.
Mark Martin in the 5, Brad Keselowski in the 2, Joey Logano in the 20, Denny Hamlin in the 11th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, etc.
Yeah, see Casey Kane and Jeff Burton back here. Kane made a lot of adjustments in this scorecard again, trying to get it better.
And I'll tell you, somebody right in the middle of that group, Kevin Harvick in that 29 car, we've seen twice now. This team went for just right side tires on the pit stop, and he's gotten shuffled back fairly quickly. You have to wonder what the driver's thinking about that from behind the wheel, Doc.
Well, he's complaining now the car's getting loose, but by our calculation, these tires, left side tires, have now been on the car 56 laps. And you might wonder, he may be a little bit warm, but he's hanging on and trying to make a pass or going by the 2 car, guys.
Yeah, next time I'm going to sit on pit road till they put those left sides on there myself.
I had Earnhardt do that to me one time at Bristol.
Carl Edwards up a spot around Matt Kenseth. Picks up 4th, going after Ryan Newman for 3rd.
Yeah, and smoke on Louisville in the lead again.
Comes Carl. Newman, one of the guys that had changed just right side tires on the pit stop a little while ago. Up front, Truex, 56. Stewart for the lead in the 14.
He is on a mission.
Watch those hands.
You see Truex back in the throttle, but a little sideways. He had thoughts of a crossover move there. Don't he have nothing of that?
You're a leader.
Wow. That was 6 laps. Stewart went from 9th to 3rd in 2 laps, and took the other 4 to get to the lead.
Good there, baby cake. Let's go.
Bob Jeffries pumping him up a little bit. I'm not sure Tony needs any pumping up right now.
But he might need to be pumped back down a little bit.
Not sure he's calling him baby cakes either.
Did he call you
knew that.
I don't ever remember that, no.
First and third. Stuart Edwards, Truex in between. What a run from ninth up to the front for Stewart. How about this?
Look at that. God. Oh, wow.
Trouble out. Back straightaway. Landon Castle and Trevor Bayne. More involved.
Nicole Witt's involved.
Yellow number 7.
A couple of busted radiators.
Radiator's broke, Landon. Just jump out of it. Guys, let's hit the garage, see what we got.
Cole Witt had just gotten back on the lead lap with a free pass a little while ago. If you've been with us for the
Get
entire
tires
race,
on it, guys. Get tires on it here first.
you know Trevor Bayne has had a difficult day. He's been in the wall a couple of times. Cole Witt, the young man from California, running his first couple of NASCAR Sprint Cup races last week and this week. Looking to be in the Daytona 500 if somehow Red Bull Racing manages to continue under new ownership next year.
Oh, looks like Jamie Murray caught the left rear corner of Landon Castle.
Oh, yeah. Cole Witt, nowhere to go right there. Kind of 21. I think 21 must have run over something with the left front tire off of that, and it exploded then. That's what tore the fender off. Yeah, had to. Or he could have just locked it up, and that's what blew it out.
Just instantly blew the left front fender off of that 21 car, Baines.
That was a race for 21st place. Gone bad. Between McMurray and Landon Castle. There's Cole Witt.
Yeah, he's doing a nice job here tonight. He's been very solid, not creating any problems, but getting some experience, and that's what he wanted to try to get was 400 miles under his belt.
So a mess on the back straightaway puts us under caution for the 7th time in this race with still a lot of time to go. 112 laps left in this one. Last time on pit road, Tony Stewart's team with a little hiccup and strategy by others shuffled him from the lead back to 9th place. Stewart back up to the lead this time, and the crew with more work and another decision to do here.
That has to be one of the tough things as a crew chief, Andy, in this position right here, being the leader, because if you stay out and try to keep some people out there, then they can hang you out.
Yeah, but I tell you, the way I've seen Tony Stewart pass cars, I like getting 4 tires right here, kind of setting up for one more pit stop in this race.
He passes them 3 at a time down the front stretch. It's not too bad a deal.
Just make sure you got 4 tires on him every time.
All right, I'm reading lips here again.
Okay, what'd you find out this time?
2.
2 tires. Okay, we'll see.
Was what I thought I just saw.
Yeah, I don't
passed from crew member to crew
member. I like 4.
It's not going to open up yet. I think they're going to wait until they get some of the backstretch clean, because there's no sense in getting everybody on pit road and getting tires and having to run through debris.
Maybe they know somebody's been stealing their signals out.
Yeah. We'll see. And boy, there is a lot of debris to clean up out there on the backstretch.
And that's another reason I like 4. When you have a big wreck like this, there's stuff everywhere. And I don't know how many times it's happened to me. You make a decision to either stay out or take 2 tires. You're going to run over something with the ones that you left on and have to come back in under green on the restart. So that's another reason I like to get 4 in this situation.
Well, so far, and we are just shy of the 250-mile mark in this 400-mile race. It has lived up to its billing. These 2 drivers, Tony Stewart, Carl Edwards, for the last couple of weeks, literally gone door to door and toe to toe, if you want to put a boxing analogy on it, slugging it out for the race win and for the championship lead. And here in South Florida today, after Stewart rallied all the way back through the field, they've been among the leaders, slugging it out.
Yeah, it wasn't about coming here and having to finish, just inside the top 10 or inside the top 15 like we've seen a number of times. This was coming here to see who was going to win this race and literally take the championship. And both of these drivers have proven they're ready for that task.
Pit road going to be open this time for the lead lap cars. And there are your top 3. Stewart, Truex, Edwards. Pretty impressive run for that 56 today.
Yeah, been really solid so far. You'd like nothing better to close this year out in victory lane.
So what'll it be? 2 tires, 4 tires, speeding penalties, drop lug nuts. We'll see what happens on this round of pit stops. Doc?
Well, they only have 12 laps on the right side tires, so they got to put 2 laps on Ryan Newman's car and go 1 round down on the track mark. It's very tight. Left side only. Dave.
Kyle Busch is coming in. They have not talked about what they're going to do yet. Didn't catch their signals. It'll be a track bar adjustment, though. Car too tight. Vince?
Darian Grubb said 2 tires only for Tony Stewart. They waved off the 4-tire call, going with just 2, having a problem on the right side.
Carl Edwards took right sides, as you saw there, tight through the middle, but they said that's the best he's been on a 10-lap average. Carl Edwards gains 1 spot.
I'm not sure if they were putting a spring rubber in or something under the right rear of that 14 car. I'd like to go back and see the replay of that angle of the pit stop, Andy, but they were doing some work up under that right rear, it looked like.
Yeah, for a minute there, I thought they were just having a problem with the right rear. It looked like they may have been doing some work back there.
Deep breath, guys. We come from a lot further back than that to get there. We got a lot more time than we had.
Kind of like that.
Yeah, I mean, I like his attitude, but you just don't want to keep putting him back in that situation. He's been in it enough tonight already, so they just need to kind of smooth it out and figure out how to keep him up front now.
All right, let's see if we can figure out what happened here to the 14. It's the right rear that ends up taking so long.
Yeah, he's got a problem there, and he's got a lug nut stuck in the socket. And the problem is that you can only use two air wrenches on a pit stop. They can't go back and get another one, so they have to get that out of there before they can make it work.
That's what it was.
Well, they were going for 4 tires. You can see they had the other 2 ready. They had planned on racing.
Yeah, they had to just call that 2-tire call so they didn't lose all of the track position.
So, once again, Stewart's got some ground to make up.
And that's a 13.7 2-tire stop. You normally see for 4 tires.
It was earlier in the race that Stewart got shuffled back 8 spots on a pit stop. He did rally to recover and take the lead again. We'll see how it plays out after this set of pit stops. Talking about going toe-to-toe for the race win. Well, the first part of the races definitely were on opposite tracks. Tony Stewart, after an early pit stop, discovering nose damage on that 14 car.
They had something probably from Kurt Busch's transmission that exploded that went through. They had to do a lot of repairs. Made those work, though.
Well, he went to work, though, and started passing cars. He's passed more cars tonight or today than anybody.
While Carl Edwards was up front leading laps.
Yeah, it was kind of easy for Carl in the beginning of the race, but he's had to work for it since then. Since that rain delay, he's had to work for this. See, right now, that 14 car is making moves to the front.
Stewart taking the lead not long after the last restart when he went from 9th up to the top spot in 6 laps through moves like that.
That's just incredible. I mean, Tony Stewart is just so bold with these passes. Nothing to lose tonight.
But all that ground lost. Look at the crewman behind the wall banging the hose from the front tire change on the wall. What's going on? What's going on? Well, this for sure. No one has passed more cars today than Tony Stewart. 63 cars he has passed so far. And Vince, a follow-up on what happened there.
Well, you guys saw it was definitely a mechanical issue with that gun. Daniel Smith, the rear tire changer, felt bad about it, but they came over, they looked at the gun, trying to make sure that they don't have that issue again, but definitely a mechanical failure. They were going to go for 4 tires, and at the last moment, Darian Grubb called them off for 2 tires, not necessarily because of the problem they were having on the right side. He just decided they were going to go from 4 to 2. Now you see him taking a closer look at that gun, make sure that that socket's not going to be an issue in the future.
Yeah, those pit sockets are made so you can hold the trigger wide open and it'll still make contact with the lug nut, but if you get a little bit of wear on those sockets, it can hang one of those nuts on the flaps and it cause that kind of problem.
3 cars did not pit under this caution. There were 3 who stopped under the last one when most of the leaders stayed out. Jeff Burton's the leader, has chosen the outside lane for the restart. 88 Dale Earnhardt Jr. and 1 of Jamie McMurray also did not pit. Here we go.
Look at Stewart. To the high side this time, 4 wide. Not finished yet. Wow.
All the oil dry through where the accident was a minute ago. And up front, 3 wide for the lead. Truex up the center. Kenseth around the outside. And 4 wide behind him. Boy, we're seeing some aggressive racing tonight.
They're still 4 wide.
Hold your breath moments on these restarts. Carl Edwards now with a run down low under Jeff Burton. Stewart trying to follow.
And look at Stewart drive that car down in the corner hard on the throttle.
Well, just slid it off the corner in front of Dale Jr. He sees the 99 going. He can't let him get far away right now.
It's an amazing drive for Tony Stewart. I mean, this is incredible. Just got 2 tires the last time, and I know a lot of other cars did too, but man, he is really getting on with it.
Yeah, and Stewart has to know that watching Carl Edwards here, the only way he's going to win this championship, probably, unless Carl Edwards has some kind of problem throughout this, is to win the race, because Carl Edwards is not going to finish far enough back.
Did Stewart make contact with Edwards here? Hello?
Yeah.
I'm here.
Don't forget about me.
You can see a lot of that speedy drive being kicked up that was put down after that last caution. Made it a little difficult to see. I'm not saying that's why he ran the back of him, but benefit of the doubt there.
To borrow a little language used by NASCAR officials on their race control channel. Message delivered, car 14. Stewart now dropping back off Edwards a little bit here after the shakeout on the green. I'm going to tell you right now, we get a couple of late race cautions and maybe even a green-white checker finish. The action we saw last night, the nationwide race that we've seen on these restarts tonight, it's going to be wild.
Yeah, we won't be able to crown a champion until the very last night as they cross the line for sure.
After that last round, Cole Witt, you saw him out of his car walking around, examined and released from the Infield Medical Center. Chip Gordon, 24 car, trying to get 7 from Ryan Newman in the 39.
I see somebody else, Casey Kane, you see getting in the picture. He's got his car a little bit better.
You see A.J. Allmendinger getting really loose back there. Denny Hamlin right on his plate.
Kane car, that's one of those we've seen feet hanging out from under on the pit lane tonight.
Yeah, they've been working on this thing. Looks like they've made it better.
Oh, boy. Thought he was going to go 3 wide up the middle there.
Yeah, he and Kenny Francis had a lot of success on mile-and-a-half tracks. We said earlier in the show that half of his wins, 6 of those 12 have come on mile-and-a-half tracks.
For second place, Truex 56, Edwards 99. Now, talked a lot about Tony Stewart making bold moves on these restarts. Carl Edwards was no slouch on the aggression meter in that last little run.
They're not able to clear Truex on the bottom. Truex gets a big run off the top side.
And Kevin Harvick, who has been shuffled back a good bit, is going to get that spot. Will on Allmendinger, that's 13th place.
Get that? No, maybe not.
He's going to have to take a chance if he's going to. He just can't get back to the throttle hard enough.
So Matt Kenseth, in all of the chaos just after restarts, has shot through to the lead. Truex and Edwards racing for second. Stewart fourth. Jeff Burton hanging on to fifth.
Tony Stewart getting a little help from Martin Truex. Able to hold Carl Edwards up enough that he's closed the gap a little bit.
Try him again.
sun going down has helped Matt Kenseth with the handling of his race car, plus a lot of adjustments I think they've made today.
Martin Truex had a good car all day, really. I mean, his car's been up there all day. Looks like the nighttime hasn't hurt him any either.
A long time since Truex has been to victory lane in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. And he is in the hunt for another one tonight. So while it's sorted out at the front of the pack for the moment, the front four separating themselves from fifth. There's Jeff Burton. We'll go back to find some of the side-by-side action.
You can see there, Jimmy Johnson looks like they did fix that engine problem.
The problem is he's back 5 laps down again.
Yeah. Sometimes you just can't figure that stuff out quick enough.
Mark Martin in the 5, Clint Boyer in the 33. A couple of guys making their last drives in those respective rides tonight. And a couple of guys racing for 12th spot who have at times had their moments on the racetrack during 2011. Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick.
Trying to make that very bottom lane work. There's not a lot of banking down there. The car has to be extremely good. But Kevin likes to work that bottom side. I'm sure he's not encountering any other traffic down there.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, too, right? If everybody else is running up high to pass them, you either got to go through them or around them. Not able to make the move in that bottom lane for them.
Tighter up front right now. See, Truex has now caught Kenseth, bringing Carl Edwards with him.
I don't know if it's camera angles, just the fact that it's at night or something. But one of the things I love about this racetrack is you watch Carl Edwards make the big drive into 3.
Still not going to get there, I don't think, unless Truex gives him a break, which he did.
Oh, nice. One of the things I love about this racetrack, you look right down into the cockpit as the cars make that arc off the corner, and you see that driver's hands at work. And just how hard he's steering that car.
See right there, Carl Edwards, a little bit left and a little right to correct that and just driving it off the corner, wheeling it sideways.
So Edwards to second, behind his teammate, Matt Kenseth. How long till he has the lead? I say not long.
I say Matt won't fight him too hard for it. If he feels like Carl's quicker, he'll let him go. He might wait to make sure.
Just not enough. Yeah, I don't think it's only a degree or two of banking from that top to the bottom, right? But in these race cars at these speeds, it makes a difference.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference. You can see now, I think Matt's going to let Carl have that spot. Not that Carl wasn't going to take it anyway, maybe. Yeah. Edwards back out front where he spent the first part of this race as the lap leader most of the time.
And Tony Stewart going to get third from Truex.
I had to wonder earlier whenever Carl saw Tony out front, was he panicking a little bit, or did he realize that, okay, this is okay, I have the car to get back there? And I think that Carl showed us that he was okay with everything that was going on. Of course, those 2 tires right at this point in time.
And the laps are ticking away here until Carl Edwards locks up that extra bonus point for the championship for leading the most laps. And again, that 1 point on the night. It make the difference.
Looks like he's going to wrap that up, though, because he's led 92 laps so far. The closest one is Stewart with only 18 laps led.
Yeah, but you got 91 to go.
Yeah, he mathematically can still happen.
That's what I said. He's closing in, but he doesn't have it yet. 31, Burton. 4, Kane. 5th and 6th. Nice rally by this 4 team.
They've worked hard on it, I'll tell you that. By for effort.
Jeff Burton been able to hang up there, staying out on this last caution. He's had some good runs here recently in the last month. They've performing a lot better.
They certainly are, DJ, and of course they were the restart leader, having stayed out and not changed their tires. I checked with the crew, and that was for 2 reasons. They weren't in a fuel window yet, and they may run out of the sets that are allocated to them for the race weekend, so they want to make sure they had enough to go to the end.
Yeah, thanks. Interesting information. action there. We'll follow that.
Yeah, that's one of the first times we've really heard that be an issue where a team might have to kind of ration tires because they do give them allotment, but it's a big allotment they get for the weekend.
We are just across 250 miles in the Ford 400-mile race. Homestead-Miami Speedway in South Florida. The race to decide the NASCAR Sprint Cup Championship. Live looking at Carl Edwards leading, Tony Stewart third in 99 and 14 respectively, separated by Matt Kenseth at the moment on the racetrack. Story of the day, Edwards dominating much of it out front. Stewart with early troubles going all the way back to 40th, rallying back to the front, having troubles on a pit stop twice, rallying back to the front. And this sure does look like it's going to come down to a fight for the win between these two, the win and the championship.
Now, whoever wins, if it's between these two, that's going to be your champion.
Second place, Stewart with the run by Kenseth.
Well, these passes Stewart's making, it's just they're so deliberate. He drives down in the corner. I mean, not 1 car length deeper, but like 5 car lengths deeper than the other guy to take these spots.
And even at that, he's able to get back to the gas when these guys can't get a big enough race to make a cross. You see Carl Edwards, he's leading the race and sliding this man around.
Yeah, it might be he looked in the mirror and saw that red car.
A couple of other quick stories to recap. If you haven't been with us the whole day, some engine trouble on a couple of the Ford cars, leading to some to wonder if the 99 should be concerned. Earlier in the race, a right front tire run down to not too good condition on the 99, something they've also been keeping an eye on through the night. Quick check-in on the leaders. Jamie?
Well, as Carl Edwards continues to lead, he checked in with Bob Osborne and give him an update.
And we get this thing tightened up just a little bit on the corner. It's going to be real good.
Roger that, bud. Roger that.
Very good feedback. Just needs to be tightened up just a touch and he'll be good, as if he's not really good right now. Vince?
Tony Stewart hasn't complained about the car at all. He has been happy with what Darian Grubb has given him. The only issues they've had, the 2 pit stops since the red flag, they've had problems in the pits both times, but Stewart's been the leader and lifted them up.
Hey, everybody all right down there now?
Yeah, 4, buddy.
Tell you what, that makes the crew chief jobs a lot easier when your driver's that cooperative.
Vince, Jamie, thanks. 85 laps to go. And with all that we've seen so far in this race, who knows how this is going to play out and how it's going to turn out.
Well, we definitely have one more pit stop. Wow, look at Carl get out of sight.
Almost into the wall there was Carl Edwards.
Like I said, who knows what's going to happen.
It's Tony's job right now to push Carl as hard as he can. And every time Carl looks in the mirror, he's seeing that 14's hood.
And I'm sure they're probably not telling him, but Tony Stewart has been faster, not by a whole lot, but each lap of over the last 4 laps.
Carl can see that. I mean, you can see that in the mirror. You can tell when that car gets bigger, can't you?
Yeah, unfortunately, yes. When you're leading.
One thing to keep an eye on is that lap count again. With the championship being so close, the 1 bonus point to the driver who leads the most laps in a championship that started today separated by only 3. It's going to be big on the night. Carl Edwards is not many laps away from locking that up tonight. If Tony's going to keep that from happening, you better get by him quickly.
I think Tony's kind of resigned to the fact he has to win this race to be able to win the championship, and that's not going to matter because he owns the tiebreaker. If he wins the race, it doesn't matter what Carl Edwards does, and that's all he's focused on right now is winning this thing.
Yeah, if they run 1-2 and Tony wins and Carlos led the most laps, yeah, they've got the same number of points, but Tony has more wins. That would be number 5.
If there is no green-white checker finish that adds laps to the races, Carl Edwards will lead the most laps in this race. Nobody else can overtake him now.
Well, what he's got to do is beat Tony Stewart now. That look like that's going to be a no-brainer.
No.
See Tony sliding off the corner.
Started the day with a 3-point lead on Stewart. And the difference between first and second, while the 1 point per position championship system that's new to this season is good for everything but the difference between first and second. There's 3 points between first and second because fans wanted wins to mean more this year, and that's how they mean more. Check back a little further in the pack. Some of the other close closer races for position than those front few. Denny Hamlin, Ryan Newman. Newman in the 39 with the 9th spot. Hamlin in 10th. From the winner here a couple of years ago.
It's been a solid day for Denny Hamlin. I wouldn't say spectacular. You come to expect spectacular days from Denny Hamlin, but he and Mike Ford have been pretty solid as they try to work through some rough times this year.
Denny asked here on Friday, when talking to reporters, if he expected Mike Ford to be the crew chief on this 11 car for next season. There had been some speculation that that may or may not happen, and Denny Hamlin said it was, quote, a pretty strong possibility, end quote. Said it's hard to sit and point out anyone in the garage that he thought could do a better job than Mike Ford. 33 and 43 there, Clint Boyer and A.J. Allmendinger.
We talk about all the drivers sliding around, but AJ's had his hands full quite a bit. When you get a car closer to your rear bumper, you're already loose. It makes you extremely loose. He was decided to let Clint Boyer go by right now, see if they can work on that 43 a little bit more to make it better towards the end of this race.
Boyer now running in 14th spot, Dave. You talked to him under the red flag.
Yep, and during the green flag run, it's been mostly loose. They made some adjustments the last time, but he reported on lap 172, about 17 laps ago, that he had lost the rear grip in the car. That makes it a little bit tougher to drive.
Sure. Starting to see some green flag pit stops among the guys who did not pit under the last caution. Jamie McMurray was just in. Now here's Jeff Burton.
Boyer losing rear grip. They will make a chassis adjustment, change 4 tires. Remember, he stayed out longer than most of these guys, so he's pitting earlier. A 4-tire change full of fuel, and he's gone.
And the other one who did not pit under that last cycle of stops was Dale Earnhardt Jr., so expect to see him in for too long.
See this 16 car on the access road coming in. I heard a car go by us just a minute ago on the front straightaway that was down at least one cylinder. Looks like it might have been Greg Biffle, another one of those Fords.
And Biffle goes to the garage.
Boy, that is not good.
So was that an experimental engine, or was that one of those unexpected problems when we visited with Doug Yates earlier? Talked about Marcus Ambrose and David Reagan. Reagan's being an experimental engine, but Ambrose is being an unexpected problem.
Roush engines have only failed twice in races this year. That's 3 tonight. That would be really worried.
Here's Jack Roush on Carl Edwards' pit box. There'll be people all over the engine on that 16 car and either coming up to Jack to tell him personally or texting him or something very soon.
We've been talking about how this is a Ford racetrack tonight. This track hasn't been too kind to the Ford engines.
I'll tell you, I hope it doesn't come down to that.
Yeah, me too. They need to race it out on the track like they are right now.
Yeah, we've got the 2 best drivers in cars right here, right now, and let's settle it this way.
Carl Edwards and Tony Stewart running first and second, and you want them to be able to just race it out to the final lap. So you don't want them to end up back in the garage. I talked about Junior being the other guy who did not pit on that last cycle of stops. He's in now, Doc.
Yeah, last time he was on pit road, AB, lap 144, and since they raised the front car and hurt his injury, so they're going to try to make some adjustments there. They put a rubber in the left rear also to help him. The right side tires going on, get it full, and now they're going to go back on the track bar to try to get him back where they were to help the entry into the corner. Still a little snug in the middle, routine scheduled stop. He will have to stop at least once more to make it to the checkered flag. Guys?
A little ugly there on that stop for the 88 team.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if anybody tries to stretch it here to make it on just one more stop. It would be a stretch. We'd have to go to about lap 212 to be able to make it to the end.
Memory serves me correctly. Casey Kane was 22nd at the red flag. And again, one of those cars that had feet hanging out from under the back of it on a couple of times while they tried to adjust the handling on that 4 car. Now he's racing Martin Truex Jr. for 4th place.
Yeah, you know, that's who Rusty Wallace picked to win this race today. And not saying he's not going to be right, because he's made a strong comeback here.
He's made 11 pit stops today, so trying to get that car right.
Some of the scoring progression there on Casey Kane. Now that some of the other cars who did stop on the last yellow are going to begin to trickle onto the pit road. Wonder how long with the speed of the freshened tires till the leaders are all drawn in. Here's Brad Keselowski, Jamie.
And Brad Keselowski told us in that rain delay they really want to end up 3rd in points. That was the goal. Last stop they took right sides, and he's been loose under throttle for quite some time. You see him working on the left-hand side, going for that 4-tire spot this time. Doc?
Kevin Harvick, you finally got 4 tires under the yellow lap 157 coming back in. He will have to make it on one more stop as well. Right side tires going on Harvick. He'll run as the leader, running 3rd before twice. Changed on the right side tires to get track position. 4 tires going on Kevin Harvick. He will leave. Good stop, 13 seconds flat. 0-0 in. David Ruderman, his final run for Michael Waltrip Racing. The Zephyr Hills, Florida native, would like to be able to get a top 10, maybe top 15 finish today. A very emotional day for David, who has right now no plans for next year. 4 tires down and away.
You can see that 0-0 car has been into the wall tonight and scraped the paint on the right side of that car.
Well, he's not the only one. We've seen quite a few cars scrape that wall tonight.
Edwards and Stewart, 1st and 2nd. They've put 4 seconds on 3rd place Matt Kenseth. We saw Casey Kane up to 4th, finishing the pass on Truex. More green flag stops. Doc?
Jeff Gordon in the 24 car, still looking for the first win here for Hendrick Motorsports. They're going to do 1.5 rounds in the left rear. 4 tires and fuel great on the right side. Let's see how they do on the left side. Left front, gloves on and off, wheel coming off. Oh, going to cost him some time here. Clean the grill right at 14 seconds as he's down and away.
And Casey Kane working on Matt Kenseth now to pick up 3rd position. That 4 car charging back toward the front after the red flag for rain earlier. Ryan Newman hits the pit lane here along with Kyle Busch and A.J. Allmendinger, Doc.
Yeah, Ryan Newman, you might expect him to have a good race car set up very similar to what his teammate and car owner Tony Stewart is driving. Good car here, 4 tires, air pressure only, otherwise no changes. Dave.
Kyle Busch said my car is tight in the center of the corner. It is free off the corner, but that tight center is what is, quote, killing me. So they'll work on that with these changes. More fresh tires for Kyle.
Got to go off on the track bar slightly for the 17 car. Matt Kenseth said, you know, the car left my line. Wow, really rolls the center of the corner better. Much better than I do. A little bit tight. He's going to try to fix it. Jamie.
Carl Edwards slides into his pin box. 2-time winner here. He has touched the most laps led. They go to work on the right-hand side. Remember Carl's radio. He said if you guys can tighten me up a little bit through the corners, we will be really good. 4 tires. They'll fill it up with Sunoco fuel. They've been on it all night. 13.5. Carl Edwards is down and away.
Tony Stewart staying on track for a 2nd lap. Now, Andy, he's going to be giving up speed to Carl Edwards here.
He's going a lot of speed, too. They're going to give up at least a 1.5 seconds a lap to these cars with new tires, and I would advise them to go ahead and pit right now. And I know they may be thinking about making it if their numbers say that they can make it on one more stop. And they'd have to run about 10 more laps to be able to do that. It would put them in a real big hole.
All right, buddy, do what you can to save you some fuel here these next 12 laps. Just try to maintain your gap with him.
I can't do it and maintain the gap, so you got to tell me what's more important to you.
Yeah, but we just can't get any worse than what we've been getting during the day there. So
Darian Grubb told me today we can go 55 laps on a tank of fuel. I think that's better than anybody else. You heard him say, save me 10 or 11 more. That would get him to 212, 55 away from 267.
Boy, big strategy play here by Darian Grubb with a championship in the balance.
Yeah, boy, this really makes me nervous, though. Giving up a lot of time. Jamie?
And Regan Smith in for his pit stop. A lot to be proud of this year. Remember that win back at Darlington? And he's getting married in the off-season, so I know he's looking forward to life beyond this race. They've been hanging in there. They've been decent all week, top 15. Down and away, 13.8. Solid job by the 78 crew.
All right, now look at the cars on fresh tires going by Tony Stewart while he's on the older tires and trying to save some fuel.
Yeah, if he goes that extra 10 laps, he's going to be way behind Carl Edwards.
Yeah, he won't even be in the top 5.
No.
It's back out. Close.
He's clutching the car, too, in the corners. That's why I was listening there. He's also clutching the engine like we've seen him do before when he won the race at Chicagoland, for example.
The other side of the coin is if Carlson does come out and he doesn't find himself in the top 5, we've seen him be able to drive up to the front. But man, I'm telling you, I don't like this strategy. I believe I would just try to pit. It's the second that 99 pit, I would have pitted.
It looked like that they had every bit as fast a car, if not faster.
Hello, inside by himself, all by himself.
So that lets Carl Edwards back on the lead lap.
That is Edwards one lap.
5 more laps, buddy.
This is 5 long laps. This is a huge gamble, and I know they're thinking about it. If this gamble works, it'll get them the win, which will win them the championship. But boy, it's a big one, big gamble.
Basically, they're counting on the race going green to the finish.
Yeah, that's what they're gambling on right now.
Now, all these teams have breakdowns in studies where they look back at the history of cautions at a particular racetrack, the last 5 years here. When did the cautions fly in the race? What can we expect? Obviously, they're betting that their history shows them long green flag run at the end.
We've seen a lot of that this year. We've seen these races really play out under green. But this one is just a big gamble. Big gamble for this team.
It's almost a second and a half slower than Tony Stewart's running than Carl Edwards right now.
We're about 221 tires. Inside by himself here. Clear, all clear.
Earlier this season, we saw this 14 team run well in a couple of races and not win when strategy went wrong. The race at Las Vegas, they had such a strong race car. Strategy didn't go well. Carl Edwards won that race. The race in Phoenix, where they stayed out and took a 2-tire strategy, and some other guys passed them late in the race, and they wound up finishing 7th.
Yeah, I like having Tony Stewart having the say-so here. I don't think Darian Grubb has to do anything to try to win this race. I think that Tony can do it if you keep him on equal ground with Carl. Right now, he's kind of put all his eggs in one basket to try to make this thing on one more pit stop.
Well, Stewart's leading. Edwards is 30 seconds behind him in 5th position. Already having made a pit stop in this cycle while Stewart is stretching fuel to try and make the distance on one more stop. Tires going by the 14 as they count the laps to him until he makes the pit stop.
Pit this time.
That was Stewart's team calling to him. Here's Edwards' radio.
Why are they saying out there so long, Bob?
Well, I think he's going to try to stretch it and do it in one more stop.
So, let's see the stop from Stewart and where he comes out in relation to Edwards. He was only about a second behind him before this cycle began.
Yeah, he's about 1.7 seconds behind what he had fallen back.
Don't get a speeding penalty here, Tony.
I think you heard on the radio that he might be out of fuel. You hear the engine running.
Still running.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Normal stop, 4 tires. In 3, 2, 1, third track, don't go.
It has been chugging for Tony Stewart on these last laps. Remember, they've had some problems the last 2 pit stops. A little cleaner on the right side this time. A 4-tire change, no other adjustments. The gamble, can they make it to the end on fuel? They're going for it. Tony Stewart, 4 tires and away.
Get off the pit lane without getting a speeding penalty. And back up to speed. So where is Carl Edwards? There he is.
Tony's going to be lucky to be on the lead lap when he comes back out.
Yeah, he'll be on the lead lap still.
So Edwards is the leader. We'll see where Stewart is when he gets back up to speed as Edwards squeezes in front. Caution flag is out.
For the rain. Yellow's out for the rain and 3. Here's the leader.
Wow. That is actually a break for Tony Stewart.
Yes, it is.
long as we go back racing.
Oh, wow. Carl Edwards is leading. He just got the lead before the yellow flag. Tony Stewart came off the pit lane, 23.9 seconds behind Carl Edwards in 15th place.
It looked like Martin took the lead when Tony made that pit stop. He's now making his.
Yeah, and that allowed Carl Edwards by him. And now Edwards will be the leader at the caution. Now let me throw this at you. Edwards needs fuel to the finish. Stewart doesn't.
Right, that'd give him track position, and he's got 4 new tires. Hasn't even run up to speed yet.
Yeah, he should be the leader because all of these other cars are going to have to come to pit road at some point in time. Now, when do you do that? There's going to be some that are going to gamble right now. Carl Edwards may have to step, not knowing if it's going to continue to rain.
Well, here's another problem. Carl Edwards may not be able to run from here on this fuel. So I don't know that that's,
he can't come yet anyway.
Right.
Because he's going to have to see how long this rain.
Tell me what you want me to do. I'm in the middle of 3 and 4.
Yeah, he can't come off the racetrack while it's raining, and he's leading the race.
It looks like an isolated shower on my radar. I haven't seen it.
Tell me.
Go ahead, pit 1 and 2.
He called him in.
Open, here we are, 4,000. Everybody came with. You can't do that to me, Bob.
I was doing my best, bud. This isn't easy, okay?
10 forward, 10 forward.
Crucial stops here. What do they do? Fuel only, 2 tires. Vince?
With Darian Grubb. Darian, you held him out there a long time. Getting ready to see Carl Edwards pit, but what kind of gamble do you feel like you took there?
Really none right now. Look at the rain. I'm caution lap stuff. We're real close to making it right here.
Alan? Yeah, it's no gamble right now since the caution came out, but I'll tell you, that was a big gamble. They just got away with it.
Big break with the rain.
Big, huge break. They're going to wind up the lead now.
Wow.
I did not see that working out like that.
An interesting night, hasn't it? What an interesting night.
I think Bob Osborne put it perfect. This ain't easy.
This ain't easy, bud.
So as the rain, at least over here in front of the broadcast booth, picks up a little bit, Jamie?
Well, you heard that was a last-minute call, and this is why. Bob Osborne told Carl Edwards, at this point, we're 7 laps short. So instantly he said, let's pit. Carl didn't like it too much, but he understands why. They took right sides, and they did a splash of fuel.
All right, well, there were some guys that did not pit under this yellow. Kyle Busch is going to be the race leader.
We are 5 laps short here, 5 laps short.
It's going to be Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski, A.J. Allmendinger, then Tony Stewart in 4th. Clint Boyer will be 5th, then Carl Edwards in 6th.
So if it rains right now, it looks like Carl Edwards will be the champion if they don't go back racing by this lineup.
NASCAR monitoring track conditions and trying to decide if they're going to leave the field out under yellow or bring them down the pit lane.
It stopped raining for the moment,
at least right here. Well, our in-race reporters have put on one whale of a show for us tonight for this championship. TJ?
Hey, Tony Stewart, Dale Jarrett, you have a copy?
Yeah, bud.
I don't know what you're seeing from in there, but wow, what a night this has been. The race between you and Carl, now the fuel strategy. What's your thoughts right now?
Just my thoughts are saving fuel, the biggest thing, but Darian says we're going to be in good shape on it. It's just a matter of trying to save a little bit for green, white checkered here, and they can't make it, so that's a good thing right now.
All right, buddy, let you go back to saving fuel. Good luck.
Man.
And Carl Edwards running right now back in 6th position. Looks like he's talking to his team on the radio. Dallas. We are now going to chat with Carl.
Carl, Dale Jarrett, you have a copy?
Got you, Dale.
Wow, what a night. You've got a fast race car there, though, but maybe a little shy on fuel?
Yeah, we were just talking about that. We're a little bit short. We got a good race car. I think our car is probably the best one out here. So Bob will get it figured out, and we'll have a plan. We'll go up here and win this race. Still a lot of racing left.
Well, let me say that we appreciate you talking with us first and foremost, but thanks to you and Tony for putting on a great show out there tonight. Best of luck here in these last 50 or so laps.
Hey, thanks a lot. Have fun, man.
I'll bet. That sound, you can just hear the stress. I mean, it's there. Now tell me, Dale, what it's like inside the car. All this stuff's going on, trying to figure out where you stand in the bigger picture of the race.
Yeah, that's the hard thing, is when you have a fast race car like that, you want to be able to use that car to take advantage of that and make a difference there. You don't want the fuel strategy to have that, but that's part of the game here. We've seen it happen a lot in these first 35 races. Once again, it looks like it may come down to something like that here in our last one.
I want to go back and talk this through just for a minute and get some folks that are watching this championship that may not watch NASCAR racing every race all year long. The difference in what Tony Stewart and Carl Edwards' teams did. Stewart's team chose to stay on the racetrack and stretch their fuel. Tony did that by giving up speed and backing off the gas, shutting the engine down in the corners and that kind of thing, to spend less time on pit road in the race. But while he was giving up speed-saving fuel, he was also giving up speed to fresh tires that Carl Edwards had. The caution kind of erased the deficit Stewart would have been in.
Yeah, that wasn't the game they were playing. They're actually playing it to make it on just one more pit stop and the race go green. That caution just happened to fall right after they played that strategy, and that erased that big deficit that they had given up to make that stop. So it worked out for them. They didn't really understand or actually know that was what was going to happen, but it did work out good for them.
Yeah, but the 99 really wasn't in a position with their fuel mileage they're getting to get themselves in something like that. And you saw the 14 team take a little extra time in putting both of those cans of fuel and making sure they got every drop in there they possibly could.
Each team trying to go about the same thing in different ways, spend the least amount of time you can on pit road and the most amount of time you can at the front of the pack. The question is how a race circumstance is going to allow it to play out for these final 50 laps.
Well, first it's got to quit raining, which it has, and the track's got to get raceable. Then they go at it. And then if it goes to the distance, you'll see the 99 car have to come down pit road and get more fuel. And Tony's going to be able to stay out there. The other thing is you might see another caution between now and then, and that's going to change everything.
Yeah, the way they've been racing on these restarts, there's a good chance we might have another caution for sure. But I would say they continue to circle here, make laps under caution, then Carl will have to come in before we go back to green and maybe get himself in a window where he can race from that point.
And back to what we talked about at the very top of the day, all this for the championship going on within the broader context of the race. There are other guys out there going to try and play the stretch the fuel strategy to see if they can win the race. For example, Kyle Busch, that didn't pit under this most recent yellow, and that can affect the outcome of the day for both Stewart and Edwards. There can be so many little things that go on in the context of this race. Here was Stewart.
Just watch the fuel guy right here. He's just trying to make sure that this thing gets full of fuel. And they're watching, holding. Now he's full of fuel.
And then the caution came out. Edwards' team makes the right side tire change.
They only needed just a little bit of fuel to get the car full. It hadn't been too long since they made that last stop under green, so it only took 3 or 4 gallons to fill it up. The key thing here is the 99 team just doesn't have the fuel economy that Tony Stewart does. They can't go 55 laps like Tony can. They're well short of that, so they can't play the same strategy.
It's a giant chess game using 3,500-pound race cars, tremendous race drivers, calculators and computers for fuel mileage, electronic timing to coordinate lap times, and very, very smart people like Bob Osborne and Darian Grubb to figure out a way for their car to end up at the front of the pack when the laps run out in this race.
And to be quite honest,
everybody can't do what Tony Stewart as a driver was doing there. Just kicking in the clutch, you'd say, well, that should be simple. That makes the race car do a lot of different things. When you kick the clutch in, the car starts literally freewheeling, so you don't. It changes the way that it drives. So it's not just as easy as it sounds and just saving the fuel that way. But Tony is probably the best out there at doing that.
While the field follows the pace car round and the jet dryers are on the track, let's bring in the 1989 champion, Rusty Wallace, who hates fuel mileage strategies.
Yeah, I tell you what, guys, I do hate fuel mileage strategies, no doubt about that, but I've been watching this 99 car. I've been running my calculator like crazy down here. I might disagree with a little everybody else up there, because I think the 99's got no problem getting this baby to the end on fuel the way I'm calculating this thing.
Well, Russ, there's no question that these extended caution laps are helping him stretch that mileage.
Yeah, I would say the 14 car, Tony Stewart's in more trouble than 99 of Carl Edwards, because Carl was not trying to save fuel yet, guys. We all know from the 2008 race here, Carl Edwards was a master at saving fuel. Remember watching him run around a track just barely putting around. So I would say right now, I'm betting on Carl having a little bit more gas in the tank than the 14 at the end of this thing. I know I kind of upset your apple cart there, but it's just kind of my opinion right now.
Well, I watched Tony Stewart. He made a pit stop with 55 to go, and he had run 55 laps. He just proved that he could make it on fuel. And now we've got all of these caution laps. I think it really puts Tony in a good spot to make it, no problem. I think these caution laps also help the 99, which may make him be able to make it from here.
Yeah, I think this is a good debate, guys, no doubt about it. We know fuel mileage has been really important all the time, but I've been running these numbers like crazy, and I might look stupid when it's all said and done, but I think he's going to make it no problem. I'm talking Carl Edwards, guys.
Yeah, I got to tell you, it's part of the fun of the sport. How's it all going to turn out? We just don't know. And the weather. Isolated, scattered showers. The race has been stopped now 3 times, or slowed 3 times, and stopped once by rain. And as long as that precipitation keeps falling down, the laps under caution or red are going to tally up, and the laps left to play the strategy out under the green are shrinking.
Yeah, and you know, the truck race on Friday night was shortened, and it was about 15 laps shy of getting to the very end, but it was getting extremely late. And I'm sure they'll stay later here tonight to try to get this race in, but you just don't know.
So much at stake. Well, big stories on the night tonight. Carl Edwards, Tony Stewart pretty much going head-to-head for this championship like they have the last couple of weeks, but getting there in very different manners. Edwards leading the most laps on the night, 119 of the 220. Nobody else has led more than 29. Stewart going all the way to the back of the pack after damage picked up very early in the race, needed to be repaired. Then a couple of pit stop problems for Stewart, and he's continued to rally each time. Stewart coming from as far back as 40th at one point, and now the different strategies played by the 2 teams, with Stewart's team stretching the fuel to try and save a trip down the pit lane, while Edwards' team going with, I'll call, a more conservative strategy or conventional strategy, and still needing another trip down the pit lane. Talked about our caution trends.
Yeah, and if that happens again tonight, it's going to change everything. You'll see everybody make pit stops because they're going to need tires regardless. So, you know, we'll just see how this thing plays out and whether we get back to green and how many laps there are to go.
While the dryers are on the track and the pace car is in front of the field, a trip back through the days of the top 2 for this championship, Carl Edwards and Tony Stewart. So far, they've made this race live up to its advanced billing. Stewart, after the first pit stop of the race, hey, we got some damage in the nose of this car. Spent some time getting it fixed, sent him all the way back to 40th spot.
Yeah, had to do a lot of work, but Tony Stewart made up a lot of time on the racetrack, passing cars wherever he could catch them.
Carl Edwards, meantime, while Stewart was back there getting the damage fixed and coming back through the pack, was out in front, leading and leading and leading. Then Stewart got to the front, and they raced side by side and pretty aggressively on what have been some wild restarts tonight.
Yeah, Tony Stewart's had some great restarts, and he takes the lead right here from Jeff Gordon at one point. Kind of stretched it out a little bit, but Carl Edwards' car has been strong all night long.
Never far apart once Stewart got back to the front. Look at this, 4 wide.
That was just incredible. I mean, that's just a very confident race driver in his abilities and his race car. See, he goes by Martin Truex here.
But each time Stewart has gotten to the front, something has set him back. A couple of hiccups on pit stops here. Watch the right rear. They had a lug get hung in the socket trying to change tires.
Yeah, they were going to change 4 tires. Had to call that off and make it a 2-tire stop after that problem.
And Stewart would rally back after each setback, letting Carl Edwards know he wasn't going away. Edwards back to the point on Martin Truex Jr., while Stewart was keeping pace with him, pass for pass. And they ran first and second for this last stretch run of the race until they went on opposite pit strategies. Stewart's team stretching their fuel, stopping with 55 laps to go. Edwards' team, when the caution came out for the rain, pitting then for right side tires and fuel, setting us where we are now with Stewart running fourth, Edwards running sixth. Fuel to the finish a question, and waiting out the track drying before we see how it all turns out. Well, Vince, a strategy played by Tony Stewart's team, and they're running right now in fourth.
Well, and it was a big gamble, and then the rain came, and that certainly helped them out. Certainly from a mileage to the regulation distance, Tony Stewart and Darian Grubb are feeling good about their position.
He just so you know right there, I mean, that's the hardest we were running basically, but it made it through the stop. It got out of the box okay. It actually died at the last timeline, and not 50 foot past where it died, it took back off and the pressure started coming back up.
10-4, that was some hard braking zone there at the end of pit road, but did an awesome job there keeping it running and everything. So that confirms our numbers right there, and where we're at right now, we got about 2 laps to good, so just keep getting there. Every drop you can get under caution here.
There you heard him say 2 laps to the good. If it comes down to a green-white checker, Darian Grubb told me just a moment ago, we're not quite there yet. Jamie Little?
Well, before these caution laps, you heard Carl Edwards and Bob Osborne say they were 5 laps short. So Carl starts thinking about every possible scenario.
Matt, push us right now, you guys. Can I shut it off? He can push us? Negative.
That is a negative, he said. Now he's asking Bob Osborne over and over, okay, break down the 14. What are they doing? Are they getting better fuel mileage than us? Bob did the calculations, and he said the farthest we've been able to stretch it is 51 laps. The farthest the 14 has gone is 14 laps. So we should be in pretty good shape. And by the way, they've been turning these caution laps, so by the time we go green here, they should be good to go, as Rusty said.
Jamie, thanks. All I can say is I want to see how it's going to turn out. A whole lot of things at play here. Terrific Ford 400 so far tonight, and the deciding moments of the season still to come. It's time to go NASCAR Nonstop, presented by Nationwide Insurance. Still working track drying here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Now 42 laps to go. Remind you to join host Reese Davis and analyst Kirk Herbstreit and Craig James for BCS Countdown tonight as they unveil the latest BCS polls and analyze who are the contenders and pretenders. It's BCS Countdown presented by Discover on ESPN tonight, 8:15 Eastern, and continuing on ESPNU at 9 Eastern. And they've got some things to talk about tonight too. The weekend that was in college football.
What a shuffle that was. The only one that I can tell you that's a real contender is that LSU bunch.
Find out what this week's picture is here in a little while. Well, we got some NASCAR racing left to do first. A championship to settle and a race to be won as well. And so many things factoring into the late going here at Homestead-Miami tonight. A rain shower still throwing the occasional spit out of the sky at the racetrack. The track dryers are on the speedway. NASCAR keeping the race cars out there to try and keep the heat into the racing surface and keep the track as dry as they possibly can, while those trying to win this race and win this championship motor around under the yellow flag, running all the calculations. Who's got the fuel to the finish? How's it going to affect the competition?
You can see him checking the radar right now and getting a good hack on that. Looks like the rain has stopped and track's really stayed pretty dry during all this.
Well, they would be happy if it rained it out right now.
Yeah.
They would be the champions.
Not going to happen.
What a fun study these two guys are, Tony Stewart and Carl Edwards. As different as could be, if you will, and made it so much fun to watch this championship unfold. Look at how they run on the racetrack. That car, Kyle Busch, is the race leader. Did not pit under this most recent yellow. We'll call him on the Stewart strategy for the moment.
Well, not exactly. I think if this, when this race gets ready to go one to go, you'll see maybe even the top 3 cars make pit stops. That will put Tony Stewart back up front.
Right, Keselowski second, A.J. Allmendinger third. Those top 3.
Talk about Tony being in 4th, and Carl's sitting there back in 6th right now. Carl changed right side tires when he came down. He got fuel as his caution came out for the rain. Tony has 4 fresh tires. If we do go back green, could that make a difference with Tony having the 4 fresher tires and just those 12 or 13 laps? Anything that we've seen has made a difference here tonight.
Well, the cars are so close. We've seen them racing. I watched lap times when they were running first and second within hundredths of a second, and just that little advantage could be enough.
Clint Boyer running 5th, Carl Edwards 6th, and getting that forecast update on the radio.
So what's your gut tell you? Is it going to get rained hard on here or what?
In a little while, yeah, that cell is growing, but it's still out on the, it's still out there as a ways, you know.
Trying to figure out how it's going to play out is Bob Osborne. If it's going to rain, keep the race from being continued, you want to be in that number 1 spot.
Yeah, that seems almost impossible to predict, especially down here.
So they're showing the drivers 3 to go and getting their response on if the track will be ready to go back racing in 3 more laps. Jamie?
And the good news, Carl Edwards has been waiting to hear, we are good on fuel. 2 laps to the good, Bob Osborne just said.
He'll want that not on his mind because he's going to have,
he's got to race hard,
some work to do.
Yeah, when it goes green, he'll have to get to work.
That's what we want to hear. That's what we want to see is race hard like they've been doing. Let's see who's going to win and who's going to run second. Clearly been the 2 best cars here tonight. Or day and night. We started this a long time ago, didn't it? But it is night.
Yeah, looking at that radar too, it looks like there is a sail out there, but it could stay to the north. And so it could stay dry all the way to the finish.
So many elements rolled into one. So when we do go back racing, Carl Edwards will be lined up behind Tony Stewart on his back bumper in the outside lane. On restarts tonight, Stewart has been so aggressive. Inside, outside, hasn't mattered. When they drop the green flag on a restart, he drops the hammer.
Yeah, that's just a matter of he's in the outside. Looks like 2 to go. Outside lane or inside, whether it's just Tony goes hard wherever it is that whichever lane he's in. And it'll be interesting to see. As Andy said, I think that Kyle Busch and Keselowski and Allmendinger all may have to pit here, so that may put Tony up to the point.
Allmendinger does pit.
There he does now.
But Kyle Busch and Keselowski have not.
Yeah, the last pit stop for Kyle Busch was on lap 200, which would have been about 67 to go for him. I don't know that he could have saved that much fuel under this caution. And for Keselowski, it was 196. He'd have 71 to go, and I'm all but positive he can't do that.
I think they're just making sure that it's not going to rain this out for sure. They're going to be back there towards the back of the restart anyway now with the strategy they've employed here.
From race control, those big jet engines mounted on the trailers behind the trucks being shut down, sent back to their parking spaces behind the wall, and this field is going to get the 1-to-go signal this time.
Yeah, we'll just see how it works out here if these leaders do make this pit stop. I'm watching Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski, see if they make the duck to pit road.
David Ruderman gets the free pass under the caution to come back onto the lead lap. And going to have some cars in front of the leader take the wave around here. Bobby Labonte, Joey Logano, Casey Mears, Trevor Bayne, Dave Blaney, Travis Koppel, Mike Bliss all can come back. I think Bliss just pitted, so he won't be getting the wave around.
And we are good by 5 laps right now. Awesome job.
That's news Tony wanted to hear too.
That just means he can put the hammer down and go for it.
They're getting the 1 to go, and the 18 car and the 2 car stay out.
It's an interesting strategy.
Mark Martin does stop here. Take some tires. So Kyle Busch is going to lead. Brad Keselowski will be to his outside. Tony Stewart will be third. Carl Edwards will be fifth. The guy to the outside of Stewart will be Clint Boyer. It'll be Edwards and Stewart. Note this, Carl bumping up against him. About the 18 strategy for Kyle Busch, Dave.
Well, they said, stay out, we're going for it, and then they just radioed to Kyle, remember the strategy, save your track position so when the next caution comes out, we all pit together. So Kyle may be done saving, they may be gambling that there will be another caution and everyone will want to pit.
Yeah, that'd be the strategy right now for if they're going to stay out, because it's unlikely they'll make it on fuel, so just go ahead and run hard all the way, and then, you know, get that caution. If you can keep that track position, then you can still have a shot at the win.
I know Kyle Busch is good on restarts, but he might as well get ready to see Tony Stewart to his left probably right here.
Will there be another yellow? Will rain get in the way? Stewart lined up third. Edwards fifth. 37 laps to go to decide the championship in the Ford 400 win. Kyle Busch and Brad Keselowski lead the field in the restart. Race lead. 3
wide, you're bottom, still 3 wide.
Maybe 4 as the 99 comes down the back straightaway here.
Kyle Busch and Keselowski not giving in. Stewart by Busch. Here's Edwards trying to keep pace.
Oh, that's close.
Drive that car in. Wow. Stewart by Keselowski to the lead.
That's 4 fresh tires working right there.
Edwards racing the 2 for second and trying to keep up. Big wiggle there on the 99. He's got to drop back in. Last night, Stewart and Edwards and Keselowski raced to the win of the Nationwide Series. Keselowski admitted he did some blocking in the last laps. He was racing Edwards for the win in that one.
They've had some history together, but lately they've been racing each other pretty clean. I would say that Keselowski's going to race him hard.
Check the points, top of the screen. Stewart by 1. Edwards has to pass Keselowski for second to tie, but Stewart has the tiebreaker. Edwards needs to pass Stewart on the racetrack to win the championship.
Yeah, that's just plain and simple. That's as simple as it gets. He knows what his job is right now. First, he's got to find a way around Brad Keselowski. Now, I'm sure that Kyle Busch probably knew it was coming, but still couldn't stop it.
I think you go all the way back to Chicago when he made one of his comments under caution about these restarts and how crazy they were. He said, okay, I'm going to start doing it too. I'm going to be just as crazy as everybody else. Been working for him.
Very well. Here comes Edwards.
Got to run. Looking for second place. Look at the hands inside that 99 car. Fighting for control into the corner.
All clear. Go get the 14 now.
Edwards the second. But he's got to track down Stewart. Remember, the tiebreaker belongs to Tony. Keselowski's not done with this yet.
I don't think he's got anything for him. It's down to these two to settle it. Let her take off.
And in this situation, you see Tony Stewart, if he gets this win, we heard the fans say that they wanted winning to mean more. There's no win would ever mean more than this one right here for Tony Stewart.
On this mile-and-a-half track. First and second, the top two. With some weather threatening out there on the radar. Will there be another caution back in the pack?
Right now, Tony Stewart's beating Carl Edwards up 10th or so, 10th and a half.
Well, neither one are holding back. They know they have enough fuel, so they're giving it everything they have right now. Carl Edwards has been really strong at the end of these runs, though.
Yeah, remember back at Kansas a few years ago, Carl Edwards making that big dive bomb on Jimmy Johnson? It ain't over till it's over.
That's right. May take that here tonight.
Well, earlier this week in the press conference here on Thursday, Tony Stewart said he'd wreck his mother for a championship. Carl Edwards said, I'll race him like he races me. At least I know where I stand. So if Carl can catch him, who knows?
Well, Carl ran a faster lap last lap.
But they are the two fastest cars on the track. That may seem obvious being out first and second, but there's nobody behind them that's close to what they're running. Speaking of close, Carl Edwards is close to the wall right there.
Got to let it all go, right? He knows he's got to be ahead of Stewart.
There is no tomorrow. This is it.
Stewart knows he's got to keep Edwards behind him. Look at that smoke boiling from behind that 99 car.
Well, he's up in a danger zone right there.
If he can get away with it, he can clean the track off and maybe find a little grip up there.
Man, look how close Carl Edwards is.
Moving around the racetrack, hunting for any place his car might have a little more grip and find that distance closed on Stewart.
Well, Stewart was a little bit quicker on that lap. I think Carl might have got a little closer than he needs to be to the wall right there.
Gave a little more respect that lap.
There it is.
Back at your shoot him.
There's a live interval you see between the two. Carl closes it up through the middle of the corner.
Yeah, this is really about as high as we've seen Tony Stewart. He'd been giving the wall a lane and a half most of the night. He's up there much closer than what we've seen him, but it's translating into speed for him right now. Fastest once again.
Just by hundredths of a second of Carl.
Steady hand on the wheel of that 14 car through that set of corners.
I can imagine the kind of focus and intensity it takes to race like they're racing right now.
It's just incredible. I mean, the two best drivers in the series right now, able to take these conditions, the pressures that go along with it, and get the most out of the car right now. It's just incredible. It's intense in there, but this is what these two drivers do and do it well.
The gap growing fractionally, now shrinking fractionally.
Edwards beating by 2/100ths that time.
Is it easier, Dale, to be in Carl's position right now or Tony's?
It's always tough to lead out there. You like that idea of being out front and controlling things. And if you've got a good car and Tony is confident as he can be in his car right now, then you think that you can apply pressure and make that guy in second make a mistake trying to catch you.
Just thinking back earlier in the race when they kind of warned Carl Edwards to take it a little easy on his right front at that time of the race. Well, he can't take it easy now.
Nope, he's got to give it all he's got and hope that thing holds out.
I really think that we probably got enough rubber down. That last shower didn't do anything to hurt the racetrack in that respect. So I think that you're seeing everything that Carl Edwards has in this Ford right now.
Stewart's team told him they were good to the finish on fuel. Edwards' team has told him that as well. The laps run under the caution for the rain, helping out both parties.
Almost a 1/10 of a second difference in the lap times that last time. You can see that Tony's able to turn his car down to get a little straighter shot off the corner. That's translating into a little speed for him.
Tony Stewart said we've had to fight and fight to get every point we can in this championship. I think that makes it more gratifying. Also said we've got everything to gain, nothing to lose, and in this last race that makes us dangerous.
Yes, and he's left it all on the track today and tonight. It's incredible the amount of, just the intensity and the performance I've seen from Tony Stewart personally as a driver. When the car's there, definitely they're doing a good job of that, but Tony Stewart has been incredible.
That gap between the two staying pretty steady right now. It's only 100th or 200ths of a difference between these two each and every lap.
Again, perspective. Edwards must pass Stewart to win the championship. If Stewart stays in front of him, Tony's the champ on the tiebreaker. Most wins.
You can see up there, the cars are tied right now. It's just plain and simple.
And nobody on the track is faster than these two cars.
Lap after lap. Every one of these laps, they've been the top two.
And Brad Keselowski is already 4 seconds back in third to the leader, Tony Stewart.
Oh, look at Stewart drive the thing off the corner. You could see his hands really moving as he was chasing the back end that lap.
Stewart has been so loose, so seemingly easy going in the week leading up to this race.
You see the two crew chiefs up there. Nothing they can do right now. One thing they can do at this point is plan for that caution that may come out and have a good strategy for what they're going to do. Otherwise, they just watch these drivers do what they do.
And again, that strategy complicated by the fact that there's 27 cars on the lead lap. And those other 26 want to win.
They're trying to pick it up.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they want to win. They just don't have anything for these two right now.
Yeah, just talking if the caution comes out, you see some strategy and that kind of thing, But without question, the clash of the field this fall have been Tony Stewart and Carl Edwards.
Yeah, they've gone about getting here a little bit differently. Carl Edwards extremely consistent, but consistently good. Not a finish below 11th place in the first 9 races. Not going to have that here tonight. It doesn't look like either. Tony Stewart, a little different approach. 1-4 so far. Could be on the way to the 5th. Winning those races makes up. You can make up for a bad race or two along the way. You can see tied into points right now.
There's another streak that's on the line. Hendrick Motorsports and their engines and chassis have won the last 6 championships, or last 5 championships. If Tony wins tonight, it'll be 6 in a row for Hendrick Motorsports. They're the ones that provide the cars and engines for Tony Stewart.
Started to talk about opposite personalities before. Tony Stewart, what you see is what you get. If he's not happy, he'll tell you. He wants to drive race cars. He wants to drive them fast. He wants to win races. And really could probably care less about all the other trappings of the business. Carl Edwards really good at some of those other trappings. The media, the interviews, the sponsor obligations, and so on. Carl has shown his edge at times, both behind the wheel and to his competitors.
But yeah, that's one thing Carl likes. He likes that part of the sport. Or like Tony Stewart, he did, like you said, just he could care less about that. He just wants to.
Yeah, and he's had to do more of that now, being an owner. So trying to win this championship for himself, but being an owner of this team hasn't happened since Alan Kulwicki in 1992. So I think that means a lot to him here. But this is Tony Stewart, the race driver, getting it done in his element right now.
Tony Stewart with 11 driving titles in various forms of racing. A 2-time NASCAR Sprint Cup champ, looking to join that very elite club of 3-time champions if he can run out these final 16 laps. And again, that's a long time. Good 15 minutes or so if we stay on the green.
Yeah, one little mistake by Tony, and he's going to give a championship away. That just to me, that's a lot of pressure on a driver. I know you guys can handle it, but that just seems like a ton of pressure.
That's what makes these two so good. You know, we've seen them running right there at the wall. Not a slip. You know, I think Carl Edwards maybe would tell you his car is as good as he could make it right now.
1.5 seconds between first and second. Stewart edging away ever so slightly. The final laps of the 2011 season and a tremendous fight for the championship between Tony Stewart driving that 14 car and Carl Edwards in the 99. It's come down to the two of them running first and second in this race. Whichever driver wins the race will be the champion. Stewart coming back from as far as 40th in the race earlier today with damage to the nose of his car. Each time he got back to the front of the pack, something set him back. Problems on pit road. They chose a different strategy that set him back, but a timely caution regained him his spot toward the front of the field. He's driven like a man possessed on restarts to get back to the point. And now, despite Edwards' best efforts, Edwards having led the most laps in this race tonight, he finds himself that far behind his rivals for the title in the final laps. He's got to find a way. He needs a caution.
89 to a 94, but I know you're doing all you can here, but we need that position, buddy.
Yeah, they know that. You know, one thing I'll throw out here is we heard Bob Osborne say that Carl was good on fuel by 2 laps, but he hasn't had to run this car as hard as he's run this run. And I'm not positive that he can make this.
How about even Tony Stewart? And I know that pretty sure that they have estimated this and calculated it right. But this is hard. Either one of them have driven tonight and tried to make all of this happen. So you're not sure. There are no gas gauges in there. You're not going to know until it sputters.
No, they've made their calculations based on what they've done throughout the race. But this run right here, they have run extremely hard.
While you watch this fight for the lead, Kozlowski makes a late pit stop on 2.
Edwards has been a little bit quicker. He picked up almost 2/10 that last lap. You can see the interval was cut down a little bit.
But the laps are running out. Leaders beginning to encounter some lap trouble.
You can see how dynamic that gap is just as they run through the corner. Carl beat him a little bit through one part of the track. Tony kind of went out on the other side.
As hard as we've seen Tony at times carry the car off in the corner and make them passes, while he's out front, he's been rolling out of the throttle. You can see Carl gain a little bit of time. Really hard in the gas on exit, carrying a lot of speed down the straightaway.
Championship that I feel a lot of folks are going to remember for years is going between two of the best and being one of the best fights for the title. They're running first and second in the last race of the season. Winner is the champion. Whoever finishes second in the race loses out. Can't beat that.
I've never seen anything like it in my career, and I've done this a long time.
9 laps to go. Edwards trying to edge in. He can bring a little bit more off Stewart lead that time. He's got to do better because he's got to catch it and then find a way around it.
You can hear he had to lift just a little bit right there, right at the exit of the corner. He was so close to the wall.
And that's a bad place to have to lift because it costs you all that momentum down the straightaway. To be an advantage for Stewart, but you can see that gap is now down to less than a second.
Black cars ahead of Stewart in the lane where he and Carl have been running, that outside lane of the racetrack.
Yeah, you have to think that they know what's going on here. They're going to give way, move to the inside.
The spotters are going to be talking to everybody on the roof. The other spotters are trying to get these other cars out of the way so these two can race it out.
Yeah, has Tony run this car too hard being out front? Are his tires going to give up some here?
Another couple of hundredths of a second off that lead as they come to the lap traffic.
We don't see these cars moving out of the way.
I don't quite understand the thinking here.
Andy Lally in the 71. 38 car of Travis Quapple. Stewart to their inside.
Tony's made his car work down there. I know that's not where he wanted to be right now. They're giving him plenty of room.
It's actually Mike Bliss in the 71. And he's racing for something too. They're trying to get in the top 35 in points. I understand that, but you got to give these guys more room.
Now Carl has to deal with the traffic.
One thing that
be what kills any chance he has to get up there.
Yeah, that had to break some momentum, but you can see he's still within a second.
Now the gap going again.
You know, Carl, he can just get to the rear bump.
5 laps left, 5.
And try to force something here.
Well, it's going to take a mistake by Tony Stewart at this point in time. He's driving this thing on the edge this entire day.
I'm watching the Carl rotors are glowing red. He's been working every pedal in that car. In the corner last lap, you could see the left front rotor was glowing. See it there?
Oh, yeah. This isn't a place that you normally use a lot of brake, but Carl Edwards doing everything he possibly can to bring Tony Stewart down.
Stewart adding to his lead, but more lap traffic ahead. That's that yellow with the yellow stripe, signaling the wheels coming up behind you. A warning flag for the driver, not a mandatory flag, but a warning flag. Dave Blaney gives way. So far, the late yellow has not come.
One driver is hoping it doesn't, and another one hopes it gets that opportunity.
You see the flag now, really waving that flag at these other competitors, so let these two race it out.
Montoya, Jeff O'Reilly yielding to the race leader. And Edwards running out of time.
I tell you, this has been one incredible drive in this chase by Tony Stewart. On his way to a 5th win out of 10 races. And that was only good enough to tie in points as it sits right now.
That's just how good it has been.
Yes.
2 laps to go, 2.
3 miles left to go. Tony Stewart seeking his 3rd championship. Rallying back tonight from as far as 40th position. Kind of had the what me worry attitude earlier in the race.
Yeah, what an incredible job by the crew to repair that, Andy. That's not an easy place to make a change and fix a repair.
Yeah, they've overcome a lot tonight. On pit road, they had a mistake, or actually a problem with the pit socket. They had a hole in the grill. But Tony Stewart
White flag here, white flag. Bring it home.
Final lap. Stewart and Edwards, 1st and 2nd. Winner takes the championship.
It's just the most incredible run I've ever seen out of a race car driver, what Tony Stewart has done in this chase and tonight.
Yeah, I think it's the best driving I've ever seen, and Carl Edwards did an incredible job too, but this is the man right here, Tony Stewart.
2002, he was the champion. 2005, he was the champion, those driving for someone else. This time, he's an older driver, and he's become a 3-time NASCAR Sprint Cup champion. Tony Stewart wins it.
So we got it?
We got it. We got the tiebreaker, baby. Awesome job.
Derek.
You guys are all.
It ended up they had to win the race to win the title. Tony Stewart did just that.
In this sport a long time. That was the most incredible championship run I think I've ever seen.
running well enough to contend for the title. And when it started 10 weeks ago, they won the first 2. They won 5 of 10.
Okay, Tony Stewart being a great competitor right there. Carl Edwards made it all.
He had everything that he had there at the end. And the entire chase, never finishing worse than 11th in the race for 10 races.
A tie on points. The tiebreaker decides the championship. The tiebreaker is most wins.
Fans wanted it to be about wins. Tony Stewart went out and gave them exactly what they were looking for. Just an incredible run.
Did I make it exciting enough?
You made it exciting enough for us, Vince.
A tearful Darian Grubb holding his son Gavin here, celebrating the victory. Darian, you told me earlier today that nothing has changed in your team. You've just gotten the brakes to go your way in the chase. Tonight, you made your brakes. You repaired the car. You fought back from different challenges. You gambled on fuel. How did you guys do it tonight?
We just fought. This entire Office Depot Mobil 1 team is incredible. We just didn't give up. We kept fighting. We went out and earned this championship and showed we're true champions.
Darian, you've been through a lot of adversity. What's this championship mean to you?
It means the world, but my family means a lot more to have him here with me.
Congratulations.
Darian Grubb from Floyd, Virginia. Came to be known to most of us when Chad Knaus was suspended during a Daytona Speed Weeks a few years ago. Darian, the team engineer, was Jimmy Johnson's fill-in crew chief at the time, and they won the Daytona 500.
Actually won a couple. He proved his mettle in that backup role. And boy, tonight, it really shined. Took some huge gambles, too. I mean, that fuel mileage gamble was big, and it really, ended up paying off for him.
It was risky.
It was very risky, but actually it's what got him the track position.
And for Carl Edwards, he led the most laps tonight. He came up 1 spot short and loses the championship on a tiebreaker. Jamie?
I imagine there's a lot of people around this country who agree with Dale Jarrett that was one of the most exciting championship races we've ever seen. What's going through your mind right now is all I can ask you after that effort.
Let me thank my sponsors first. Aflac, Ford, Kellogg's, Subway, Scott, Sprint, all the fans. But this night is about Tony Stewart. Those guys rose to the occasion. They beat us fair and square. That is all I had at the end. My guys did a really good job. I mean, we came here, we sat on the pole, we led the most laps, and Tony still managed, him and Darian to do a good job with their strategy, come out in front of us, and that's it. That's all I got at the end. That's as hard as I can drive. So I told my wife, if I can't win this thing, I'm going to be the best loser NASCAR's ever had. So I'm going to try really hard to keep my head up and know that we'll just go next year. We're going to be just as hard to beat next year, just as hard the year after that. But I just hope everybody's proud of the way we performed and our effort. I appreciate everyone's support, all the folks that helped me get to this position. And I wish so bad we had that trophy, but it just wasn't meant to be tonight.
Carl, you've had to drive that hard multiple times in your career, but for 40 laps, looking at the target ahead of you. What was that like from the cockpit?
I mean, it was good because I could see what Tony was doing, and I mean, I tried all sorts of stuff, and I mean, that's as hard as I can drive that race car, and that's it. So, I said before this thing started, I'm going to give my best performance, and I'm going to be happy with that. I'm not quite happy with it, but this is what we got. We'll make the most of it, and I can tell you one thing: if we're in this position again next year, those guys better watch out, because that was a lot of work to stay calm and to stay focused and perform the best we can. I learned a ton.
And the patience. Great job, valiant effort by Carl Edwards, brings it home second in the points.
Reacting to Carl Edwards' thoughts, a valiant effort, but he has to be heartbroken.
Yeah, and it'll hit even more tomorrow and in weeks to come. But he's, just as he said, he did everything he possibly could. He just, unfortunately, ran into a buzzsaw with Tony Stewart and this race team and winning 5 races. Who thought it was going to happen?
Tony Stewart provides us our Goodyear winning moment. 5 wins in the 10 races in this chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. The tiebreaker was wins on the season, and that was the difference between Stewart and Edwards after these 10 races.
And if that's not an emphasis on winning, I don't know what is.
Exactly right. And particularly over the last 3 weeks, these two raced for the lead, raced for the win in these races. Just tremendous.
Neither one of them ever finishing worse than third in these last 3 weeks.
It's the first time in the history of the sport we've had a tie for the championship in points.
Tony Stewart tonight, Carl Edwards talking about giving it all he had. Tony Stewart passed 76 cars in this race tonight.
He certainly earned it, didn't he?
Every time he got to the front, he got shuffled to the back. Homestead-Miami Speedway, and truly a classic championship fight. Resulted in a truly classic championship finale where you had to win the race to win the title. Tony Stewart did it. Making his way to a familiar sight along the front stretch of this racetrack where twice before he celebrated winning a championship. Eddie Jarvis, Tony's longtime business manager.
They have a great relationship. It was the two of them that put this deal, made it happen, put it together, really took a chance in moving away from Joe Gibbs Racing to go start and make this race team work.
And you see the scene in Victory Lane presented by Napa as the liquids begin to fly. And what a scene it is in the middle of that whole championship crowd.
Tony Stewart just being the guy that has the best average finish anybody's ever had in the chase, 4.9. He beat Carl Edwards.
Ryan Newman, Tony's teammate and employee, if you will, at Stewart-Haas Racing. And not to forget Gene Haas, who, having fielded the NASCAR Sprint Cup team for several years, needed something to take it to the next level. He offered Tony Stewart a 50% partnership on the team.
He got a good deal.
They're champions.
Yeah. Rick Hendrick had a lot to do with making all of this happen, getting the two parties together, helping make everything work, assuring Tony that he would get a tremendous amount of support with his race team from Hendrick Motorsports.
Look at that scene. So much fun. You heard these fans roar their approval. Everybody waiting while Tony Stewart gathers his thoughts and gets ready to go. And the most disappointed, the people who came up just short, talking it over. Bob Osborne and Carl Edwards.
Sometimes you just get beat, and that's all that these guys can say. We gave it everything. Carl said he gave it everything. He has a driver. He had a great race car. The engine performed flawlessly. Just sometimes somebody else is a little bit better.
Ladies and gentlemen, your 2011 NASCAR Sprint Cup champion, Tony Stewart. Wow, what a performance tonight. And what better way, Tony, for the closest chase in NASCAR Sprint Cup history to finish. Tony, two of NASCAR's heavyweights. Tony Gibson coming over. Two of NASCAR's heavyweights going toe-to-toe, head-to-head, the final laps, and you won it in the championship. What's the emotion right now?
Oh, God, thank the Lord for this one, buddy. Man, I'm telling you, it's been a tough summer and a tough fall for us, and you got to believe in something. And the man upstairs, and he held this rain off just long enough for us to get this job done. So this is for Sprint and all these fans up here that stuck it out all weekend here in Homestead. And, oh, my God. I don't care how long it rains. I'm going to be up all night. This is, oh, my God. Are you kidding me? For Office Depot, for Mobile One, Chevrolet, U.S. Army, Tornadoes, Quicken Loans, GoDaddy, Ritz, Oreos, Coca-Cola, just everybody that's a part of the Stewart Haas program. Mac Tools, we couldn't do it without you guys. It's just unbelievable. I mean, we said all week we just go out and win the race. We didn't have to worry about what he did, and that's what we did. And just if this doesn't go down as one of the greatest championship battles in history, I don't know what will.
Let's talk about tonight. In the first 100 laps, Tony, you had to go from back to front twice. 3 and 4 wide passes on the restarts as Jeff Gordon comes up to congratulate him. And then the gamble on fuel. How concerned were you that maybe there were just too many obstacles to overcome after all you were having to battle tonight?
This team, there's one thing I learned when Gene Haas and Joe Custer gave us this opportunity, and our good buddy Rick Hendrick, and I couldn't do it without you, Bud, and everybody at Hendrick Engines and Chassis, that there's no quit here. And Daring Grubb, that man up there, and everybody on this team has just dug deep and never given up, and this is an awesome night. Eddie Jarvis, Brett Food, everybody at Stewart Haas Racing. I've got the best team in the business, and it's just awesome. I'm so grateful to be able to do this for Gene Haas, because this man's invested a lot in this sport, and for him to have the faith in me to do this, just it takes a lot to do what he's done, and I'm glad I can get this done for him.
Talk about people that meant a lot to the sport. That number 14 belonged to your hero and friend A.J. Foyt. He said you can take the number but drive it with the tenacity of a Texan. Tonight, you won a championship the way he won it, up on that wheel, refusing to lose. What does it mean to you to take this number, his number, back to a championship stage?
I guarantee I'll probably talk to him tonight, and he's still going to tell me what I did wrong today, but I'm so proud. I mean, A.J.'s always been one of my heroes, and he's been very supportive of this when we did this. And when I asked him if it would be all right if I took his number, he was the one that gave me his blessing, and that meant the world to me.
Carl Edwards, a class individual. What a battle! What a battle those final. What's going through your mind when you're seeing Carl back there, knowing that he's just going to do everything he can, and what a great effort he's had all year long to try to catch you, and you had to win the race to win the championship.
Those guys have done an awesome job all year, and my buddy Ricky Stenhouse won the nationwide championship yesterday, and Jack got the owner's championship. So I didn't feel bad taking this one away from him tonight. But he's a great competitor, he's a great guy, and we've been giving him a rough time this week. But it was all in an effort to do what we did tonight here, and that's to win this championship. But it shows how classy a guy he is. He was the first one to me over there, and he just said, "Promise me one thing, that you'll enjoy this." And he goes, "I hope it's you and I in this position again next year." So it just shows how much class he's got. He's a great guy.
Both of you showing so much class. And Tony, guess what? In just a moment, we're going to climb up on that stage. You're going to get a big trophy and even a bigger check as NASCAR's newest Sprint Cup champion. Alan?
And they won't mind the raindrops one bit. Tony Stewart, 3-time NASCAR Sprint Cup Series champion after winning the season's final race. The trophy presentation is next.
Tony Stewart steps high and wide to the outside lane.
It's a Stewart Haas Racing breakaway at the front of the field.
Tony Stewart opens the chase with his first win of the season.
Tony Stewart is closing it down on Clint Boyer.
He wins on Monday, he wins on Sunday.
Stewart trying to get around Jimmy Johnson.
He's got him cleared off 4.
Tony Stewart wins at Martinsville. Race 8 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup is just underway. Tony Stewart making this championship race interesting.
When this chase started, he made his mind up he was going to win it, and I don't think anybody can stop him right now.
What do you have to say to your competition this week?
I don't think we have to say anything. I think our performance today spoke for itself, so he knows already, trust me.
And then to the season finale, where Tony Stewart had to fall all the way back to 40th after some early damage. Every time he got to the lead, something happened that kicked him farther back. He was so aggressive on restarts, drove his way back to the front, and needed to win the race to win the championship. He did just that. Tony Stewart continuing a theme that's been sports in 2011 of teams just barely making the postseason and coming on strong and winning the championship. The Packers would be one, UConn would be another. Here Tony Stewart, the St. Louis Cardinals in baseball, and Tony Stewart on a tiebreaker. Most wins earns the NASCAR Sprint Cup Championship for 2011.
Yeah, once again, just amazing. 2 great drivers, the best 2 teams out there, and it came down tied into points. Just amazing, most amazing thing that I've ever seen.
Jimmy Johnson winds up 6th, the lowest he's ever finished in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Championship in his career. And for Ryan Newman, he gets the final spot on stage at the series awards banquet in a couple of weeks in Las Vegas by finishing in 10th position. But it's all about Tony Stewart tonight. He and Carl Edwards waging a titanic fight for this championship over the final months of the season, and in this final race of the season, finishing 1 and 2 in the race, with Stewart getting the win and the title. And for the official presentation of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Championship hardware, we go back to the stage and Dr. Jerry Punch.
Thank you very much, Alan, and as appropriate, eyes of motorsports fans all around the world are focused on a stage here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. What an incredible performance in a battle of Tony Stewart and Carl Edwards. And now to make the presentation of the championship trophy, here is the president of NASCAR, Mike Helton.
I think Tony's busy playing with somebody that understands him better than we do, but we'll get him over here in just a second.
Okay, we'll get Tony over here, giving Darian a hug and holding Darian's young son. And there's a bond here that goes beyond crew chief and driver. The emotion, the gamble that Darian made to give Tony a chance to be able to hang on with fuel mileage and win a championship. And now Tony will hand him back. And now, Tony, here's a presentation of the championship trophy.
Tony, on behalf of all of NASCAR, congratulations isn't enough. What you and Carl did all through the chase, but what both of you did tonight, and the way you drove that race car tonight all the way to the finish, to the winner's circle, to the 2011 championship, congratulations, and we're going to be honored to celebrate with you out in Vegas here in a couple of weeks. Congratulations, brother.
And now to present the championship check, and it is a big one. Please welcome the Chief Financial Officer of Series title sponsor Sprint, Joe Utenauer. Joe?
Tony, you've proven again why you're considered one of the top drivers in all of motorsports. We'd like to congratulate you on your 3rd win on the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, and congratulate you on your 1st win as an owner. And congratulations to the entire 14 team. And I'd like to present you, on behalf of Sprint and all of its 40,000 employees, this check for over $5.6 million.
Stewart getting a check for $5.6 million, celebrating on the stage. And Tony, with this championship, you become only the 9th driver in 7 decades of NASCAR racing to win 3 or more championships. That means you're the best of the best, my friend.
I couldn't do it without this guy beside me, Gene Haas, and everyone at Haas Automation. They've been a great group to work with from day one, and for this man to have the trust in me to do what we've done here and to do what we're going to do in the future, it's it takes a lot of guts and determination, and this guy's got it, and he's made this fun again. So I'm just very appreciative of having him on board, and we're not done yet.
Gene, what does this mean to you?
Well, I'm in awe. This is an awesome day that leaves you speechless, but I think Tony proved that he's the greatest driver in the world today.
Gene Haas, co-owner of Stewart Haas Racing, as Tony Stewart celebrates on the stage his third NASCAR Sprint Cup championship. And what a night here at NASCAR to bring down the curtain on a phenomenal effort. Carl Edwards and Tony Stewart down to the wire as Stewart wins it all. Alan?
What a scene. And believe Tony when he says the celebration is just beginning. Hard-fought race tonight, hard-fought championship win. Tony Stewart and his team, 2011 NASCAR Sprint Cup champions. Tremendous championship finale tonight here at Homestead-Miami Speedway, perhaps the greatest ever in the modern history of NASCAR, bringing back memories of November 15th, 1992, what many consider to be the greatest championship up to this point. Alan Kulwicki, Bill Elliott, and Davey Allison in a three-way fight for the title. Allison taken out in a late race wreck. That left Kulwicki and Elliott fighting for the race lead. Kulwicki led one more lap than Bill Elliott, then knew all he had to do was stalk Elliott to the finish. Elliott won the race. Kulwicki finished second and won the championship by the narrowest of margins. The man they called Underdog, the last owner-driver to win the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series championship. Tonight, if it didn't top it, gave it a close run or is equal to it, because Tony Stewart tonight found a way to fight back and get to the front and win the race, and he needed to win the race to win the championship, and he won the title on a tiebreaker. And look at that list that Stewart joins.
Yeah, Richard Petty winning, being the other owner driver that won it, and then Alan Kulwicki. That's a short list.
Carl Edwards leading the most laps tonight, but finishing in second spot to Tony Stewart. And again, they tie at the end of the season for most points, with the tiebreaker being most wins, and Stewart claiming the championship, his third in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Well, they finished first and second in the race tonight. It came down to the tiebreaker. Your thoughts on what you saw on this night here in South Florida?
What I saw was the two best drivers of the year, and when we came into this chase, I think that everybody certainly thought that Carl Edwards had a chance to win this championship. He did everything he needed to do. It seemed like the best average finish of anybody ever in the chase. That just wasn't enough to hold off a guy that came in without a win and then wins 5 of 10. That's just incredible to me.
I've been doing this a long time, and I've never seen anybody with the kind of determination that I saw from Tony Stewart to win this championship. I mean, it started early in the chase, and it just carried on. The confidence, we heard it all week. We heard how much confidence he had. He knew he was going to do this. And as hard as it was to beat Carl Edwards, I just can't believe how much determination and focus that it took, not just from Tony Stewart, but his whole team.
Just don't think you could ask for any more than we saw from these drivers, particularly the last 3 weeks. Racing up front for wins in races and racing door to door for the championship. And in the end, it was Tony Stewart winning the race and winning the title on a terrific night here in South Florida that will go down as one of the very best ever fights in NASCAR Sprint Cup history. Smoke, a 3-time champion. The celebration continues on the front straightaway and the championship stage at the Homestead-Miami Speedway. Tony Stewart, a 3-time champion. And it's not just the rain he's getting sprayed with, along with that championship trophy. That race for the championship and the race win tonight was so great. Let's just take a quick look through the final finishing results on the night. Point out some other great performances.
Yeah, some great finishes. Jeff Gordon came back with a top 5 finish. And how about Martin Truex? 3rd place.
Yeah, Jeff Burton with another top 10. A lot of momentum going into 2012 for him.
Casey Kane caps off his tenure with Red Bull Racing with the top 10 tonight in 7th spot.
Yeah, Casey Kane's going to actually end up with probably the 3rd most points of anybody in the chase behind our first 2.
Yeah, Dale Earnhardt Jr. came back with a solid 11th place finish. I know he was looking for a little bit more than that, but not a bad night.
Brad Keselowski, Kyle Busch having to make the late pit stops. And some of the drivers that went out early, like David Reagan and Marcos Ambrose, with those engine failures. So, to the pit studio, Nicole, Rusty, and Brad, what a classic finish to a great championship.
Absolutely unbelievable.
Wow.
Not just the way it was won, but how Tony Stewart did it. That incredible drive that truly will be remembered for a very long time.
Nicole, I don't think I've ever seen a driver drive that hard my entire life. It was just a wonderful job out of Tony Stewart, but what about Carl Edwards? Those guys run the same lap times for 40 laps, bumper to bumper, and this thing's a tie when it's all done. I know there can only be one champion, but in my opinion, they were both champions today.
Both gave championship efforts
Yes.
without questions. Both of these teams are to be commended. Tony Stewart was just unbelievable today in what he had to accomplish, what he did accomplish, but Carl Edwards should be very, very proud of that race team.